and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Coach, you may be aware that you are top 5 in a poll of the most handsome coaches in the NFL.
That's what I'm talking about.
Are they underrated?
I was wondering why I wasn't first. Gotta get more redheads out there. I'd have to vote.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Thursday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, and Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you talking some football, some NFL football we'll get into throughout the show. We'll talk with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, hang out with him. He just wrote at kcsn.substack about Colin Saunders. So that's an interesting tie-in with what we've been talking about, or at least mentioned a couple of times this week. I like that he did a deeper dive, a look at the film from what Colin Saunders brought on Sunday and what he has been able to do this year. So we'll talk with him about that, some other parts of the Chiefs, obviously, as well. Getting into the Jags matchup on Sunday at noon. Just your general, typical, boring noon kickoff Sunday, Chiefs and Jaguars. Hopefully you don't fall asleep at this one. But don't worry. It's back to the primetime night game, afternoon game, Sunday night, Monday night, 3:25 stretch of football. Don't worry. Have no fear. This is just kind of a second bye week. Just a second, it's a noon Saturday or a noon Sunday. So we'll talk with Matt Lane coming up at 11 o'clock. Chiefs press conferences, coordinators, Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Eric Bieniemy, and TBD. We'll see who else we hear from out at the Arrowhead practice facilities.
Feels like a Justin Reid day to me.
It does, yeah.
Been a minute since he's been at the podium. We've got him in the locker room a few times.
Yeah, I like a Justin Reid day. Let's do that. Let's hear from Justin Reid today.
Do you know did you see on Twitter what I found out last night? This is Chiefs adjacent, and who I hope actually talks to the podium.
No.
I found out something shocking about a member of the Kansas City Chiefs last night, and I am here to share it with the world.
When are you going to share it with the world?
I'm ready to
Tomorrow.
share it. I'm ready to share it whenever you would like me to share it. So next Friday sounds good.
I did not see this at all. Should I look
No.
the tweet right now?
No. I'll give it to you. So
Okay.
Orlando Brown Jr. was doing an event with Children's Mercy Hospital to raise awareness for diabetes testing and a bunch of things in the diabetic realm. Personally relevant to me, and also his father dying of diabetic ketoacidosis and all that. He's got a lot of connection points. We've talked about Mark Andrews on the show many times.
Yeah.
Number 89 on the field, number 1, and type 1 in your heart and or pancreas.
That's right.
Orlando Brown Jr. said he's talked to his type 1 diabetic friends, Mark Andrews and Noah Gray.
What?
The Chiefs have one of us in their locker room this whole time.
It's been right in front of your pancreas this entire time.
This whole time, which actually would explain why I've had such trouble finding it. Because my pancreas isn't very good at things anymore.
Just searching around for things to do.
I thought I might just try to just save that for Learn Funniest Best. Then I realized I wasn't going to be here on Monday anyway. And people need to know this.
Wait, you're not here on Monday?
I'm not here on Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know.
You're going to have a lot of space to stretch your legs.
You know what? Monday at about 1:25. What'd you learn this weekend? I learned Josh is not here today.
He never got here today. Did we know
That's
about this?
I learned he's off today. You off Tuesday too, or?
Tell you what, I'm not going to go down to Florida and back in one day. So I can.
I say give it a shot.
I'll make the commute.
I say try it.
I'll call in for a shot clock review of Florida or something. I just was so tickled to find this out, and then I looked it up in some pre-draft stuff. He talked about being diagnosed with diabetes type 1 at age 19, I think it was. Never came up in my pre-draft scouting process. At that point, I wasn't diabetic. But
I was going to say, did it just sort of you may have read it at the time, but it did not register as
I think I would have registered it because
note?
my mom is also type 1. I would have been like, oh, that's interesting.
You know what? Then yes, you would have registered.
It glossed right past me, and so now it is my new goal to get Noah Gray on this show just to talk about, like, I don't know, eating cheese and pork rinds.
Mm-hmm. You just compared like blood sugar. Like,
yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Where are you at right now?
Let's just, hey, you want to compare scores
right now? Come on, tell me.
Right now, I am not. I had a little too many carbs for breakfast. We're in the number starts with a 2 right now, but that's just for me and Noah Gray to talk about.
That's right. And Mark Andrews, if you guys ever need.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it a tight end thing?
So this is a great question.
Because Mark Andrews, Noah Gray, you're a tight ass.
I like to
kind
think
of the
that.
same thing.
I like to think that I have a tight ass, like you said.
No, I was talking about just you being sort of frugal in spending money, except for your extravagant trips to Florida.
Other than that, that's what I save for. You got to be.
Right.
And look, you can say one, I can say both. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is that what the connection is for T1D and TEs. I'm not sure, but if there's a foundation to start or something, I'm ready for it. That was my huge revelation late last night.
I did not see that last night. So right here, Noah Gray, you and Noah Gray.
Your NFL diabetes beat
feel like
on the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Feel like we need to get Noah Gray on the show sometime.
That's what I'm saying. I think we gotta make this happen. I'm gonna
reach out
at some point.
Either through the Chiefs, if that doesn't work, back channels through doctors.
That endocrinologist should be able to just exchange our information. I don't think that'd be a HIPAA violation or anything.
No, not
I think
at all.
it'd be good here.
Not at all. Hey, let me find out who Noah Gray's been working with, and then just get all of his information from that particular doctor. They'd be fine with it.
I'm pretty sure doctors are cool with that.
Yeah, totally.
I have very few. This might shock you. Very few things on the medical field that literally hundreds of people don't know about. Oh. It's just out there now.
All right.
Just we have to wear this stuff,
Yeah, that's right. All right, so we'll talk with Matt Lane about Noah Gray and also other things as well. We'll certainly talk about Noah Gray and what he's done because Patrick Mahomes has said, I need to get him the football a little bit more. He did get him the football on 3rd down and 1. It was a great catch. The Chiefs end up winning. Now they get set for the Jags. So Matt Lane coming up at 11 o'clock, Chiefs press conferences. And then, of course, Sports or Leisure today in the 1 o'clock hour, presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 at Johnny's Tavern will be given away to those that get a sports and a leisure question right. You will win. If you get either of them wrong, you will lose. But that's okay. You didn't really lose $25. You just never had it.
Exactly.
Okay? So,
you can play again next week.
What is already dead cannot die. So if you never had the $25, you simply didn't lose it.
What I said to my pancreas.
That's right. So 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810 to be a part of the show. Text says, embarrassing that you didn't know that. Is it, though? Are you embarrassed that you did not know that about Noah Gray?
I'm shocked that I didn't know it about him, but I don't think he'd ever talked about it publicly as a Chief. The one interview I found, he did a podcast at one point. I went way down the rabbit hole.
So how did you find this out? Let me ask you that.
Orlando Brown mentioning it in his his little shot on Twitter. I had to give credit.
Also
to
should have known that since I heard that earlier when you said that you found this out by Orlando Brown saying this.
Well, that's all right. PJ Green tweeted it out. Thank you, PJ, for doing truly the Lord's work on this one.
You guys just in the waiting room together? How did you find this out? Was it Orlando Brown or something?
I can also see how it's confusing because I said that it was in the shot of Orlando Brown, and I say shot, and I start freaking out. So it's just I got to pick my verbiage better.
Okay. So let's get into the show, 913-912-4810, and what we're going to be talking about today. Certainly Chiefs and Jags and defense and some other things as it goes along. As a quick nugget, not something to get into an entire segment about, but we had talked about it, maybe to put a bow on it in terms of just the overall numbers and the quantity of Patrick Mahomes dropping back and how many times he threw the ball and everything like that.
It's gotten sillier the further we've gotten away from it.
It has. So it started off with he threw the ball 68 times. And then it was, he also dropped back 78 times because he rushed the ball 4 times in scrambles and he got sacked, or 6 times, and he got sacked 4 times. So you add 10 more plays. So then, we had talked about a couple days ago, and I never got around to doing the actual, I say research, but it's a very quick peruse of the...
Call it research.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a very quick going through the game book to see which plays were no plays, that were Patrick Mahomes dropbacks that were not plays. So therefore, it still counts as a quote-unquote drop back.
Yeah.
So what I found out is that in the game against the Bills alone, he dropped back to throw 84 times. Now, I wanted to put that into perspective and say, okay, what does 84 mean? It's a lot. We know that. We know that's a lot. He dropped back to pass 84 times. So, and that were plays, those were plays that he actually ran, right? Not he dropped back to pass, but they blew the play dead because of a false start. No. I'm talking about he dropped back to pass. He either threw the ball or he scrambled, and it was a flag, and it was a no play, and you just did it over. 84 times. In the 49ers game and Bills game combined, he dropped back 89 times.
Incredible.
With penalties, with rushes, with sacks, with attempted passes. 89 dropbacks in the 49ers and Bills game. 84 against the Titans alone. Just that workload there, to put it into perspective, he had against the Titans 2 games worth of, here's the play, Patrick, in which you're going to be studying the defense, what the protection's going to be, where your guys are going to be. You're dropping back. You're seeing what the protection is. You're seeing what the defense is actually after the play starts, where your guys are, and also throw the ball accurately, on time, make good decisions, and don't turn it over.
As an example of like what those many dropbacks can turn into, in those Bills and Niners games combined, he threw for 761 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. That's a lot of freaking throwing the football.
It is. And also, one of the things that I was thinking about when looking this up last night, it didn't take very long. It was about 10 minutes. But still, I wanted to figure it out.
Last I heard, it took you 4 hours. You did the work on this one, man. Give yourself some credit.
I ain't doing something like that
Don't
in a
undercut
while.
yourself.
Not doing something like that for a while, again. But just sort of thinking about all of those dropbacks, how many turnover-worthy plays were there? Even the interception bounced off Travis Kelce's hand, and if Kelce just doesn't have his hand there, it hits the ground.
Hand and face.
Yeah.
That was a double ricochet.
Right. It's not it was an incomplete pass or it bounced off his hands and a cornerback was there as well to make it bounce off his hands or anything like that. I don't remember him putting the ball into a spot where you went, ooh, he got away with that one. Ooh, that was like, he threw an interception on a free play. And being at the game and on the first drive, it was a defensive offsides. They threw the flag. There was nobody open. And he just said, you know what, I'll give it a shot, throw it down the field, and if my guy can get there. And he didn't, and it was an interception. But it was the only to where it was like nobody was open, but I'm not going to just throw the ball away here. And I'm not going to take a sack either. So let me just throw it up. It was intercepted. Who cares? You move down 5 yards.
Right.
That's the only throw I can think of in the game that you're like, that was a turnover-worthy play or an interceptable pass that he just got lucky and it wasn't intercepted. And to me, that even throws into the added element of how many times he dropped back, how often he was asked to go and make a play. And he wasn't just simply have any other quarterback in the league. Maybe sans a few, maybe a few others, but like 28 out of 32 starting quarterbacks in the league drop back that many times and throw the ball that many times. How many times would it have been intercepted, or you got away with one, or that was a bad decision, if that cornerback was, or he just dropped the football the cornerback did, or the safety, or whoever. I would wonder and like to know like what that would look like. And maybe it's the same thing. Maybe it's somebody just, going through and ultra conservative. It might be, maybe it's an Alex Smith game to where he never puts it in harm's way because he simply doesn't ever want to put it in harm's way.
Right, but we know that's not what Mahomes was doing really, because we saw that we saw the windows on those throws. Just for kicks, I went back through my notes. I found the phrase "almost picked" one time on the 9th drive of the offense. The Chiefs started at their own 11. First down, nobody was open. Mahomes flushed it right, picked up a yard. Second 9, he barely got rid of the ball. That was when there was a free rusher that just crushed him, totally untouched. Don't know what happened there. And then 3rd and 9, he took that deep shot to Sky Moore, which was, I'm remembering felt like an arm punt. That was 40 yards downfield at least.
And Lonnie Johnson dropped it.
Yes.
He had it. And
there you go.
That's right.
It was Lonnie Johnson. I forgot it was him.
I remember
Funny
that
little
now.
circle of life.
Yep.
But like that was 3rd and 9, and ultimately the punt from Tommy Townsend barely crossed midfield. It would have been very similar to where the punt landed if memory serves. Just to answer your question, that's the only thing that I can find in Patrick Mahomes' game that felt like an almost a turnover-worthy throw, and it was basically a punt.
It absolutely was, and that was one where you went, ooh, he dropped the ball, did Lonnie Johnson, because he should have caught the ball.
But it was 3rd and 9, deep downfield. Doesn't bother me one bit.
Does it say on your notes where he landed? where Lonnie Johnson landed? Because it's a good point about the arm punt.
I'll double check on it. I can find that play
because the total net from the punt, because with the return, they started at their own 46-yard line. So right around midfield.
It's really, really close to where that was. Yeah.
I remember it being around midfield, but it might have been still in Chiefs territory. Might have still been on the Chiefs side of the 50 where they might have started the Titans in plus territory, but not by many more yards. In plus, wouldn't have been at the plus 35, right? They started at the minus 46. Not necessarily would have been.
It wasn't a screen. I mean.
It was not a screen that was dropped. You're right. But it was kind of an arm punt. That's what it felt like was more of an arm punt. So there's one. So that's more.
And that's super nitpicky.
Right. But that kind of just switches out you had one intercepted that wasn't really a turnover-worthy play. You had one drop that was. So out of 68 throws and others that were dropbacks, you had one play where you went, yeah, he got away with that one. Got away with that. But even getting away with that one, he didn't get away with much.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Very little in terms of consequences.
Yeah. Had whoever it was that intercepted the ball on the in the second half that gave up that ultimately the Titans got the field goal. Whoever it was that caught the ball that intercepted, I can't remember who it was. If he dropped that, you would have went, ooh, they got away with one because that's 3 points on the board. That drop just saved him 3 points. The Chargers game, right? That drop saved them probably the game. You got fortunate. You got lucky on that one.
Where did you say the Titans started after that punt?
Their own 46.
Lonnie Johnson, it would have been a very good catch, by the way.
It would have.
But Lonnie Johnson's body lands on the Titans' 40.
No way.
Yep. Landing on the Titans' 40 right here. There's your arrowhead. There's your 40-yard line. Patrick Mahomes.
I thought it was in Chiefs territory. I thought it was short of the 50.
There's
on that play.
Video here diagramming it. So Mahomes drops back to literally back foot on his own goal line, hops it a little bit, and then just chucks it 60 yards pretty casually.
He did land just around his own 40-yard line. Yeah. Now, if he caught it, he could have got up and run around a little bit. If Sky Moore's there to maybe touch him when he's down.
It's a very okay shot on 3rd and 9.
And you're right. It looking at that, it was a little more difficult from where Lonnie Johnson was running to and then jumping and trying to make the catch.
Would have been a great play.
I still think he should make the catch.
Totally. But your overall angle on, man, just look at the absolute amount of labor they had Mahomes doing in that game and how few mistakes came out of it.
Yeah.
If you said Patrick Mahomes dropped back 80 times and had 3 picks and 4 touchdowns, I'd be like, yep, all right, that
makes sense.
Must have been what it took. Who's to say?
Makes sense.
And that's just not how this game shook out, in part because Patrick Mahomes, much to the chagrin of people who decided to evaluate him 2 games into his NFL career, is not some turnover-prone gunslinger. That's not who he's ever been.
I do want to real quick.
Take your time.
And then we'll take a break and we'll get into the Jags and Trevor Lawrence and some other and that Rashad Fenton take you've been wanting to get off your chest for a week and a half.
I actually never want to talk about it, but I always want to have it in my pocket.
We'll still get to that Clyde Edwards-Helaire rookie year, what we think is going to happen with him take that I had that summer of 2020.
Matt Quatraro wins his first World Series as manager of the Kansas City Royals. We'll also get Josh's Rashad Fenton take today.
And we'll get into that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his rookie year, what to expect and what we've seen from other rookies that we'll break down that is still there on the cutting room floor. It's just in the chamber whenever we need it. Just right there. Go to the vault. Just turn that vault, put in the combination, open it up. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, rookie year numbers. Let's do it.
Hey, Josh, I've got some Jalen Rose audio about Kevin Durant's injury in the finals if you want me to pull that back up.
I did that to Beards for about a year and a half, I think.
That's awesome.
Did we ever play that?
Yeah, we did. It took a couple months, but we got it.
It literally was months later.
Beards, can you get the Nobody Cares ready to go and maybe play it on a loop?
Oh, that's going to be a lot.
But not very long.
Let's see how fast I can click this button. That's going to be how I loop it.
I just don't know how to feel about this.
Okay.
That there's a part of me that is mad at myself, and there's a part of me that actually is kind of proud at the same time. I had 2 trades on the table in fantasy, Beards.
Nobody cares.
Oh, hold on.
One of them a package including Patrick Mahomes.
Nobody cares.
And another a package that did not include Patrick Mahomes.
Nobody cares.
The smarter trade was the non-Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
The heart trade was to
Nobody cares.
acquire Patrick in a dynasty league.
Nobody cares.
Oh, in a dynasty
To acquire Patrick Mahomes.
Nobody cares.
Oh, Beards, I don't know if I have this kind of power. This is really up to you. You are the ruler on this one. Can I request a stay of Nobody Cares for the length of 1 shot clock? Can I get 24 seconds of maybe caring a little bit? Because I feel like I could care for 24 seconds.
In a dynasty league, how difficult it is to say, I feel like the smarter trade is the non-Mahomes.
Who's your current quarterback?
Are you ready
Jalen
for
Hurts.
this? Are you ready?
Oh, boy, that's tough. Okay,
But
yeah,
I would
go
have been
ahead.
trading Jalen Hurts. It would have been trading Jalen Hurts, who's much cheaper.
Right.
Dynasty.
Nobody cares.
No, this is fine. This is within our 24.
Yeah.
Well,
This is building a team.
Seconds.
Yeah, go
This
ahead.
is building a team. It's
Right.
building. We're building a football team. Is
Exactly,
what we're doing.
exactly.
Yes, it's a salary capped league. It's an auction.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts is much cheaper than Patrick Mahomes. So I'd have been trading Jalen Hurts for Mahomes and another couple of players because I'm trying to win it this year. But the smarter deal was the non-quarterback deal that didn't include Jalen Hurts and didn't include Patrick Mahomes.
You got to include that in the math, though, right?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
I'll
Nobody
never
cares.
begrudge a
Nobody
Chiefs
cares.
fan for
Nobody
overdrafting
cares.
Chiefs players.
Nobody cares.
I went with the smarter
Nobody
deal.
cares.
I never thought that
Nobody cares.
I had been trying to acquire Patrick Mahomes for like 3 years from him.
Yeah.
But, just like, what deal can I come up with to get Mahomes? He's never going to trade him. And then it's on the table, a trade there, proposed. I don't know if I should be proud or mad. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It is the part of this that I really do think is interesting to anyone who plays fantasy football in the Kansas City area, because we've all been there.
Yeah.
Everybody's got, look, I absolutely, to go back to the open, but by my accidental intro to this show, I overdrafted, or at least when Mark Andrews was high on my draft board in fantasy, I was like, you know what? I'd like to go ahead and root for Mark Andrews as the tight ends, the diabetics tight end. I didn't know we had two. But like, that's okay. You're playing with your heart a little bit, It's different if it's big money, I guess, but you want to root for your team. In a much like darker twist, it's why I won't sometimes draft players who I'm not huge fans of in real life, because I don't want to sit there going, "Come on, Browns!"
If I don't win it this year, 2 years from now, I might be annoyed at myself.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially
hurt for Mahomes.
maybe Jalen Hurts like falls off in the playoffs.
shut your mouth.
They decide, hey, we need to go some other direction here.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
The Panthers trade for Jalen Hurts.
It's not going to happen. We'll take a
think you're
timeout. We'll come back and we'll get into Trevor Lawrence, the Jags. What is he?
Good question, Jason.
We'll all find out at some point in his career, I think. Right now, jury is still out, or have they even started deliberating? I'm not sure.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson
All right, welcome back, Anderson in the Zone. It's ESPN. It's Sports Radio 810 WHB.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Don't worry, Beards. We figured it out. We got to the we got to the conclusion.
This is the thing that I don't.
Josh says I made the right deal.
This is the thing that I don't think Beards probably even fully knows about me, because he and I never talked about fantasy football because he doesn't play fantasy football. But the conversation we just had throughout the entirety of the break is exactly the fantasy football fix that I have not been reveling in the last few years.
Right. Nobody cares.
I love a dynasty league, a salary cap, all that stuff.
So fun.
I think people do care, Braden, at least a little bit.
Nobody cares.
All right.
There is one text that came in, said, just made a blockbuster deal for Kelsey in my dynasty. I'm all here for this.
Eat it, Beards.
Yeah, that guy does.
And Braden.
Nobody cares.
That guy or gal does.
I think if it's a philosophical conversation about fantasy football, people care. If it's like, who should I start or sit?
Yeah, I don't care
then
about
maybe,
that. I
then
don't
maybe
care about
not.
that. I don't even care about my own who I started.
Yeah,
said I'm not sure. All right, so let's talk Jags and Chiefs and whatever is going to happen on Sunday. Still 9.5. That line has not moved. By the way, the Vikings and Bills has moved 1 point since yesterday.
Oh, interesting.
It was Vikings plus 4.5. They're now plus 3.5. I think that's still probably the unknown of Josh Allen. If he doesn't practice today and tomorrow, that line might then go to maybe Vikings, -1 or something. I'm not sure how far that would go, but quarterbacks are typically worth, 5 or 6 points probably? How much?
Oh, God.
How much would Josh Allen, how much would Patrick Mahomes be worth in a betting,
especially with a team that is actually at least has the appearance of being good, like the Vikings. If the Bills are playing I don't know. Even the bad teams are kind of interesting,
right,
I guess.
Yeah,
but if they were playing
Colts.
the Panthers or the Colts, oh yeah. If at that point it's Sam Ehlinger and Jeff Saturday versus Case Keenum and not Brian Dable, he's in New York, and Sean McDermott, I would still feel all right about that line not moving a ton. This one's interesting though. Maybe Vegas doubts the Vikings even more than we do.
Yeah, maybe there's just still an unknown of. We're not going to crazy move this line, and all of a sudden Josh Allen plays. And he didn't practice yesterday, so it moved a point. If he doesn't practice today, does it move another point? If he doesn't practice Friday, does it then get to where, how crazy it might be? Text says Bills open at -9.5. I did not see that. So if that's true, I'll look it up right now, or in the break. It was 4.5 yesterday. So maybe that's where it was. It was 9.5 on Sunday, and it moved by 5 points, and then it sort of slowly we'll figure out what the next couple days look like. I just know when I looked at it when they were doing, or 2 days ago, it was 4.5.
I wonder if that open was like, how, again, Sunday Night Football, before Sunday Night Football, Chiefs-Jags had a 10-point line. Now it's 9.5.
Right.
That was just something that changed when the game went on. So I wonder if it was going to open at 9.5 or did in a few places.
So let me go to Vegas Insider and look at the...
Well, I'm going to look at Yahoo Sports, where it says Bills-Vikings line on the move with Josh Allen on
You do your stupidness.
You give me 5 or 6 more minutes, and this tab's going to load, and I'll tell you what's going on.
I'll just look up the actual game. How about that? All right, Vikings line movements. Bills, Yep, that thing was 7.5. Let's see, what was it at? That's Jim, Rivers, Caesars was 9.5. And I didn't even look at what DraftKings was earlier this week because I looked at it a couple days ago.
On this one on Yahoo, it says that when the betting market for Week 10 opened on Sunday night, the Bills were installed as an 8-point home favorite. So then it was, 4.5 yesterday, I think is where I hopped in. I still kind of like it 4.5. 3.5 I honestly kind of like. I could see the Vikings winning this one outright, but you give yourself a little field goal in a wiggle room there. That's not too bad still.
Yeah, 8.5 at DraftKings, 9.5 at Caesars.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, my bad.
Well, Josh Allen does
on Tuesday.
It
was 4.5. So there's 5 already.
I'm surprised.
Does it move at 10?
It's
11?
not a little more than that, honestly. Yeah.
We'll see. 913-912-4810. So let's talk about what this Jags team is, or even Trevor Lawrence, right? Highly touted guy. The highest percentage so far this year of off-target deep attempts. Highest percentage of off-target deep attempts. Lamar Jackson's number 1 at 40%. Number 2, it's a tie. 2 players.
I'm guessing one's Trevor Lawrence.
Right? And the other one is also a former number 1 overall pick.
Ooh.
That is not on his
Matt
team.
Stafford?
Nope.
Oh, but
Nope.
I bet he's just not throwing the ball downfield
Right.
very much
Yeah,
then.
that's right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Go ahead, give it to me.
Not on his team that drafted him. And also
That's got to be a short list.
not and then started and lost his starting job.
Oh, boy. Is Jared Goff throwing the football downfield?
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, my God. Okay. A lot of number 1 quarterbacks who switched teams recently and not played very well.
Lamar Jackson's
Oh,
highest
boy.
off-target deep attempts in the league so far this year. 40% of his deep throws are off target. Trevor Lawrence and Baker Mayfield tied at 37%. And the sort of plot graph of the game this past weekend where Lawrence was 25 of 31, and it was like, look, he had a really good game. The attempts that he threw the ball more than 20 or more yards downfield was 0 for 1. Literally one throw.
Yeah.
He threw the ball 31 times. One of them was longer than 19 yards. In the air yards, not what they ultimately picked up. There were 15 that were within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. So I do wonder, like, Doug Peterson, you want to maximize what you have as a quarterback. What does Doug Peterson see in Trevor Lawrence? What about deep threats even on the team?
Yep.
Because Christian Kirk, they signed him to a bunch of money. Is he necessarily a deep threat? Zay Jones is not a deep threat, and he's their number 2 receiver, a guy that was like number 3 in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was, you know, with Hunter Renfrow. Before Devontae Adams, it was Zay Jones was like number 3. Now he's number 2. Marvin Jones there as well. So
Career journeyman Marvin Jones.
Right. So do they have like an actual deep threat? Is Doug Peterson just simply calling plays to where the strength of the offense can be versus the strength of what Trevor Lawrence can be? And also, I wonder how consistent of an offense can you be if one of the main threats is your running back who's really good in Travis Etienne, but there is not a threat of even throwing the ball 20 yards down the field. I mean, even there's no threat of completing it. They're not even throwing the ball down the field. I just wonder, like, how successful can you be consistently as an offense when it feels like you're that predictable with everything in front of you if you're a defense and you're Spags, if you play the too high, or if you even come up closer to the line of scrimmage and say, we're going to play this entire game on defense within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage. We're not covering every blade of grass.
I am so interested to see how Spags handles it.
Yeah.
I also am so interested to hear even what he'll give us today in the pressers.
Right.
Because here's the name that I want to give you that has really sparked a lot of my thought process on Trevor Lawrence a couple times, shockingly, on the Athletic Football Show.
What?
They've talked about Trevor Lawrence, and a couple different times they've made one comparison to him that has really stuck with me. They said, hey, Trevor Lawrence might just end up being maybe even souped up, maybe a little more athletic.
Uh-oh. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Alex Smith?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No.
You said more athletic,
No.
so it wouldn't have been
No.
Alex Smith. Sorry.
That's okay. You're not way off the line, but Matt Ryan. Now you got to take Colts Matt Ryan out of your head. Go back to an MVP for Matt Ryan, that one Super Bowl appearance that then again, maybe don't think about much of it. But Matt Ryan, number 3 overall draft pick, who never for a single second did the city of Atlanta ever regret that draft pick, right? That organization got great things out of Matt Ryan. Mm-hmm. He didn't change the position, but he was excellent at it, right? You talk about all of this mid-range stuff. Trevor Lawrence has an excellent mid-range jumper. Like, that really is something that he can do. Even as a quarterback this young still, Spags isn't going to treat him like Malik Willis.
Right.
But will he challenge Trevor Lawrence to go downfield? Because that's not something he's been able to do. He can roll out a little bit. He can use his body. He has, again, he's more athletic than he probably gets credit for. Maybe that's the hair. I don't know. But he has a ton of great traits, but he entered the league with so much of the hype of he was the best quarterbacking prospect in the NFL since his freshman year, maybe. I mean, that was as a high school recruit, he was getting NFL hype.
That's right.
And so it puts him on a really strange sort of binary of bust or MVP superstar. And if he does just end up being Matt Ryan, that's a really good quarterback. Also, I do think the game is going to change with Calvin Ridley next year. I am, pun very much intended, I'm betting on the Jags next year with Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson in year 2. But for right now, I think about Matt Ryan a lot when I watch Trevor Lawrence and try to figure out what he's going to be.
Yeah, Matt Ryan was the 3rd overall pick from Boston College, and he had a run 9 out of 10 years from Matt Ryan throwing for at least 4,500 yards. I mean,
it's really
and that
unique.
was only when they played 16 games.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's true.
That's exactly right.
That's
that was
a good point.
16 games. He had a run of 47-19,
Dark ages of
45-50,
stats.
46-94, 45-91, 49-44, 4,095. There's your season without the 49-24, 45-66, 45-81, 39-68, 2008 this year in 7 games.
He's been efficient and a high-volume guy for his entire career.
Yeah, he's led the league in completion percentage one time.
He won Rookie of the Year, and then again much later an MVP, kind of the every other year Pro Bowl campaigns. I don't like Matt Ryan is this generation's maybe best descriptor of the Hall of Very Good.
Yeah.
Like Matt Ryan does not have Hall of Fame credentials. One MVP and a Rookie of the Year and a few Pro Bowls does not make a Hall of Famer in my mind.
One AP Offensive Player of the Year.
Right, which came in the MVP season,
It did.
So you get an incredible season and a fabulous career. But stylistically, and this might have been different if he was in the AFC. I think our conversations about Phillip Rivers get really supercharged. No pun not intended that time, but I will take it.
San Diego
Superchargers. Every time that gets me, I don't know why.
I love it.
I think it's very interesting to look at a quarterback who the Falcons were never realistically looking to replace for 12 of those 14 years. If Trevor Lawrence is that, Jags fans should be thrilled. He'd be the best quarterback in Jags history by a country mile.
That's right. What's that, Mark Brunell now?
But it's got to be Mark Brunell, I think.
Because he and previous quarterback.
David Garrard.
Big guy.
Byron Leftwich also.
No, big
they
guy.
got some quarterbacks
big guy,
out here.
White guy. Big white guy, UCF. Went to college, UCF. Not Blaine Gabbert, the next Blaine Gabbert.
Oh, Blake Bortles. Sorry.
Blake Bortles,
Sorry,
thank you.
I was thinking
I was
older. I
going
was
to say,
like, I
there's
don't
a
know.
real boat slander going on here.
No, sorry.
Yeah, good point.
Sorry. But I was like, okay, so who's the best quarterback in Jags history? Well, Brunell. And then it's like, well, Bortles went to a championship game in the AFC. Oh, yeah, so did Brunell. So it's Brunell.
Mark Brunell hit all-time leading passers in Jags history. I love this is where we ended up. These names all make me happy.
Let's do it.
Dude. Oh, you're going to love this.
We'll find out next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I'm kind of feeling like Twitter has less of a bot problem and more of a butt problem.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, hanging out right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, The Zone. We'll talk with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast at 11 o'clock. Chiefs press conference is coming up at 11:45 or so with the coordinators, Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, and Eric Bieniemy, and we'll see what other players might be at the podium as well. So we somehow landed on talking about Jaguar quarterbacks because of the comparison that was made Trevor Lawrence to Matt Ryan and just the Hall of Good, as you said, which is a good point, right. Throughout Matt Ryan's career, 9 out of 10 years when he had 4,500 passing yards, as Beards correctly points out, in a 16-game season, he did that 9 out of 10 years.
Crazy. Can you believe they used to play 16 games in a season?
I mean, why even play the season if you're only going to play 16?
If you're only going to play 16 games.
You can't even get your heart rate going, not even a mouse on a wheel. So we started looking at the best quarterback in Jags history is Mark Brunell, but how long would it take for Trevor Lawrence if he were to be, let's say, just simply Matt Ryan type player, for him to ascend to he's the best quarterback in Jags history, because it is a who's who, right?
I ended up on the Pro Football Reference page for Jaguars career passing leaders, and I'm gonna just start low enough to point out that like number 10 on this list is Mike Glennon. He played 5 games for the Jags. So that he had 1,000 total yards in those 5 games passing, so he's good for number 10.
I figured he'd be higher up based on his neck.
He actually was.
He's
at
number
12.
10. He's number 10, but he settles in at number 6.
Exactly right. Perfect. Do you remember Quinn Gray? I had to click his name because boy, it sounded familiar. I could have sworn he was on the Chiefs. He appeared in 1 game with the Chiefs. He was 7 for 8. What? For 87.5 yards in 2008.
Oh, my gosh.
Quinn Gray. He's number 9 all-time in Jags career passing. He played 11 games there, 1,200 yards. Blaine Gabbert is 8.
Wow, Blaine Gabbert, poor guy.
But then 7 on up, really just as a bunch of names that'll make you happy. With 23 career games with the Jags, number 7 is Gardner Minshew.
Oh, yeah.
Who deserved better.
God, that was a great experience. And Gardner's dad, just everything about that was just so fun.
It was perfect. It was so good. And I was backing up Jalen Hurts, which I guess is a good situation for him. But Gardner Minshew should be starting somewhere. I stand by this. Number 6 is already Trevor Lawrence. He's played in 26 games. He is already 6th all-time in Jaguars passing. Number 4, I'm skipping number 5. Number 4 is the aforementioned Byron Leftwich.
Okay.
Number 3, the aforementioned, that I'm ashamed it took me this long to remember, David Garrard.
Oh, yeah, David Garrard. I was wondering where he was going to be. Yeah,
I love David Garrard.
It's a big one.
And then number 2 is the BOAT, Blake Bortles. Number 1 is Mark Brunell.
Oh, wow, you skipped one. What's the number 5? Who's number 5 that you skipped?
Number 5 played 31 games for the Jags, went 5-17 in that time, 5,817 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 26 picks. I have 2 really huge hints for you, but the first one is that he is still in the NFL on an active roster.
Oh, was it Nick Foles?
Nick Foles is 13th.
Okay, because
in his 4 games.
He played like a half and then got injured.
And broke his collarbone and never came back.
Against the Chiefs. The broken collarbones in that game.
It is. Where did Nick Foles go after all that? What was Nick Foles' career path?
When he traded to like the Colts or something? Or?
He ended up with the Colts. Was he with a different team before that?
Maybe went back to the Eagles? Or
he was an Eagle. Did Nick Foles ever play anywhere else?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably still playing somewhere.
Well, that's probably true. He's with the Colts right now, actually, still.
Yeah.
Where did Nick
That's
Foles
right,
do
because
anything?
we talked about that Nick Foles is like Matt Ryan is just out. He's not starting. He's not backing up. He's just done.
He's just out, right. Nick Foles do anything in 2016 with any teams that seem familiar?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Nope.
So right, pretty sure.
Number 5.
That might be a hint. Jason, the number 5 all-time leading passer in Jacksonville Jaguars history is Chad Henne.
Oh, damn. Chad Henne? I don't
2017 to 2012 to 2017. 31 games. 31 games, and I completely forgot about this era of Jags football, which I think we should all be forgiven for.
If you said Chad Henne in Florida, I would have said Miami.
Me too.
Like that's
Me
where he
too.
played. If you said Chad Henne, I only hear Herm Edwards going, when we had Chad. Well, that's when we had Chad. Well, when we had Chad.
It's a pretty good Herm impression.
Yeah, I understand it's Chad Henne. We get it, but he's not all that great, Herm. I mean,
he played more games, threw for more yards in Miami, but he is the 5th all-time leading passer for the Jacksonville Jags. Revenge game for Chad Henne on Sunday. I don't know what his role in it's going to be. Do you think that Andy Reid will make him a captain?
Wait a minute, I'm thinking of Chad Pennington, aren't I?
No. Chad Henne was
right,
also.
But I'm thinking of like Herm, right?
Oh, and Chad Pennington. Maybe New York.
Right?
That would make sense.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
That's what that was.
That's all right.
I heard Chad, and I think of Chad. I think of Florida. I think of Miami. I think of Chad.
Chad Pennington also played in. I was thinking of Chad Henne in Miami.
Chad
Pennington was also in Miami.
That's amazing.
Chad Henne, 5th all-time leading passer in Jacksonville history.
Yeah, we should hear from Chad Henne today.
We should. I want to know what he thinks about Jacksonville, the city. I don't even care about what he thinks about the team. I don't want to see him play. I want to hear from Chad Henne, though.
It's so weird that you say Chad Henne, who's playing on this Chiefs team.
Yes.
And in my mind, I don't hear Chad Henne. I hear Chad Pennington for some reason, and I immediately think of, how did Chad Pennington play till 2017? I mean, Herm was talking about him with the Jets. What a long career for him. And then you say revenge game, and I thought, wait a minute. He said Henne.
I did.
I thought he was just talking about Hennessy.
Well, look, Henne could have been in Miami when Herm was here, I think.
There's Henne in Miami.
I've seen some things, heard some stories.
So that would be very confusing if Herm Edwards was talking about Chad Henne.
Yeah, I guess
well, we had
so.
Chad. No, Chad Pennington. So.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, and talking to Matt Lane is what we're doing next.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
What if there was a screaming crowd of children out front going, Jason! Jason Anderson! I love the Zone!
I would wonder what I did in life to end up in hell.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll hear from the Chiefs coming up later on this hour. Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Eric Bieniemy, and TBD. We'll find out who is going to be talking at the podium as well. Talking right now here in the Zone, visiting with KCSN.Substack, KC Laboratory Podcast, KC Sports Network. Matt Lane is our guest here in the Zone. Matt, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys right now?
We are doing just fine. Looking forward to the game this weekend, but enjoying the conversation this week because it's been fun to hear different people's opinion try to sort of describe what they saw in the game against the Titans and how you sort of break that thing down. Because I feel like you could ask 10 people and they can all come away with 10 different thoughts as to how they viewed it. So what was your takeaway in the Titans game and the win for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I could see how people have all sorts of different takes on this because it's a game where a lot happened. I mean, we went to overtime, so obviously it was a little longer, but it even felt longer than a normal overtime game. Like I fully get that. For me, I think I normally come across when I watch games or think about how they go is a little bit more pessimistic because I'm always looking at it through the lens of what is this going to look like down the road when the Chiefs face other good teams? Like, how does this relate to them winning the Super Bowl? Not how does it relate to them beating the Tennessee Titans? Mm-hmm. So in that regard, it was a little nerve-wracking seeing how difficult it was for the Chiefs to move the ball on a very good defense, but also I don't think the NFL's best defense overall, just how difficult the Titans were able to make it for the Chiefs, and the Chiefs essentially had no answers until late in the fourth quarter, and then it just became Patrick Mahomes, please go save us again, which he did. So, like, there's always that, but that's kind of like my big takeaway offensively, at least from it, is that I didn't love how difficult it seemed for the Chiefs to just get any rhythm on offense after the first 15 plays.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of the prism that most everybody views the team from, and that's why on Mondays, even after a win, you have some complaints, or, after a loss, there's a lot of complaints and, frustrations and sky is falling, things like that, is because, we don't view this team through the prism of can they win the division. Like, everything they do is simply about what is this going to look like in the playoffs? Can they play like this against, the Bills or right now, the Dolphins or Ravens or something like that and get away with it? Can they do that against the Titans if the Titans had Ryan Tannehill and get away with it in the playoffs? And so, yeah, it is a different perspective of watching a Chiefs game. Sort of, you're trying to balance the enjoying it because it only happens, 17 times a year for sure. You get to watch Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But also you're viewing it and analyzing it through the lens of, yeah, but this is a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl, not trying to just get to 500.
Right, and I think that's where you get people that come across a little bit negative about it. Is you are trying to extrapolate what happened in this game down the road. So, like, will exactly what happened in this game matter that much this upcoming week against the Jaguars, or even the next couple weeks? Maybe bits and pieces, but overall, no. However, we've already seen the Chiefs struggle a little bit with the Chargers defense when they played a similar style of football, with the Bills defense when they played a very similar style of football against the Chiefs earlier in the year. So now you see, even fresh off of a bye week, the Chiefs still don't really have a consistent answer for some of this stuff. Yeah, that does give some cause for concern. However, I think this game compared to, I guess the Chargers game happened a little bit, but definitely not in the Bills game. You got it to where it just became, okay, Patrick Mahomes is essentially not going to let them lose this game. He got it seemed like he was given or took a little bit more freedom to just start scrambling, quit trying to play from the pocket that was not able to hold up as long as it was taking for guys to get open. He kind of put it onto his legs and was able to run, and they kind of found an answer late to win that game. But you just want to see some kind of schematic difference come up, because this isn't the first time that they've struggled to get open versus physical man coverage this year, and it still doesn't seem like they have a great answer. And here we are, halfway through the year almost.
Yeah, they've played 8 games, and 4 of those they've scored 30 or more points, and 4 of those they've scored 20 or fewer. offensively, because they scored 27 as a team against the Chargers. Offensively, they got 20 in that game. And so it feels like those are two different ways of what we've seen this offense look like, and the inefficiency that happened in that Titans game, which has a very good front. Okay, so that is acknowledged. Their front four, they've got a good defensive line, but they have one of the worst secondaries in the league, and so it's yin and a yang, to where that defensive line is going to cause you some problems, but that secondary should not. And so what do you make of and view and analyze the inefficiency of, in that game, there were 7 straight scoreless possessions by the Chiefs. Mixed in was a missed field goal. So, but even that, it was a 40-plus yard field goal. It wasn't a chip shot. So 7 straight scoreless possessions, and in those 7 possessions, they got 8 total first downs. Like, there weren't some turnovers and stuff. 8 first downs in 7 possessions seems like that is a number that does not involve a team quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes that has the offensive line and has Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and EB and Matt Nagy.
For sure, and that's where I think even the bigger issue lies, is that there was a long chunk of that game where the Chiefs were consistent. It was just consistently not good in terms of moving the ball and figuring out how they wanted to attack. And you want to give the Titans credit. The Titans more so than I think just about any team that the Chiefs have played over this chunk of time with Andy Reid and Mahomes do really seem to have a good read on what they're trying to do. You watch even some of Andy Reid's kind of designer plays when they go with the Chiefs would run those play action sprint outs or try to get a screen going. Mm-hmm. Their defense is all over it. Like, they have a really good idea of what the Chiefs want to do from a leveraging perspective. So yes, they're being physical. Yes, they're playing man coverage, but just watching where defensive backs align, they almost always seem to be out leveraging what the Chiefs like to play call in those scenarios. So maybe that isn't something that will be constant every week. So maybe it won't be 8 straight possessions, with no scores, or, only getting 8 first downs. Maybe it'll be something, half of that or something like that. So you got to bank on going forward. But in terms of how to beat that style of defense, we're still waiting. This is something kind of plagued Andy Reid throughout his time with the Chiefs. And I think the biggest reason they got through it before is having Tyreek Hill. I don't know if the Chiefs overall miss Tyreek Hill, but in a game like that, or like the Bills, yeah, you definitely see incidents come up where they do miss a player that can just be open no matter what.
Yeah, the part about this Titans defense and Mike Vrabel and the games that we have seen them play, the one time the Chiefs have kind of had their way with the Titans was second through fourth quarter in the AFC Championship game. Other than that, there have been some real struggles with this Titans team and Mike Vrabel. And you mentioned the Titans defense, out leveraging, having guys in position or seeing designed schematic plays and, rollouts and sprints to the right or whatever it might be. And when you talk about that, I immediately think of the 3rd and 1 play that ended up being the long throw to Noah Gray. That was a play designed just to pick up a quick first down, get a few yards. And McKinnon was covered, Watson was covered, Gray was covered, Allegretti turns around and was, an eligible receiver, and they had that completely sniffed out. Like, Mahomes had nobody to throw to and nowhere to go, and then he created, and he was special. He was the best player on the planet, which resulted in a first down and a long gain. But that play I think of immediately is the Titans kind of said, oh, we know what you're doing here. Yeah, we got this figured out. We're good.
Right, and they did that numerous times this game. That was entirely what last year's game was. I mean, yes, the pass rush last year seemed even better than it was this year in terms of beating the Chiefs, but still, when you go back and watch what they did in the secondary or on the second level, it's the same thing. They just seem to have, that team in particular has a really good read on what the Chiefs want to do, and whether it's just completely playing tendencies better than every other team, whether there is some kind of tell that they have noticed with alignment, position on the field, whatever it may be. That coaching staff for the Titans and Mike Vrabel and the way those guys play is just a perfect nightmare matchup for the Chiefs offense, and it really has been. So this is one of those situations where you hoped coming out of a bye week Andy Reid was going to have a few more things for them, a few more things to throw out there that were going to work, and it didn't seem like we get that. We kind of got the Chiefs, here's our offense, our guys are good at it, so they're going to out-execute you, and it almost cost them this game against the Titans just because the Titans, the Titans' game plan was significantly better than the Chiefs. It just took the Chiefs having Patrick Mahomes, and we'll get to the other side of the ball where the Chiefs defense also played amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that was the difference. They were out-schemed. They just happened to have the best player in the NFL, and that's where they come away with the win.
I don't know why I keep coming back to the 3rd and 1 play, but I do. And when you talk about maybe tendencies or seeing something, a tell, on 3rd and 1 on that play right there, I think it would be difficult for really any defense to not have an idea of what the Chiefs were going to do, because in the game was Michael Burton and Jerick McKinnon. The tight end was Noah Gray, and Justin Watson was the wide receiver, and Allegretti was an eligible receiver. So his skill position players, his as in Patrick Mahomes, Justin Watson, Noah Gray, Nick Allegretti, Michael Burton, and Jerick McKinnon. And it was 3rd and 1. So I kind of feel like, they may be doing something here, play action, trying to get us, because on 4th and 1, they'll just go for it anyway. Let's play for this short little pass where they roll out Patrick Mahomes. That would be a tendency or a tell, or just simply looking at personnel. That kind of would lead me to believe that, okay, they're bringing in Allegretti and he's an eligible receiver. Let's keep an eye out for this, and if they run the ball, well, it's 3rd and 1. They're probably going to pick it up anyway, but we're not going to get beat over the top on 3rd and 1.
I mean, the Chiefs kind of cycled through all of their go-to 3rd or 4th down short yardage plays throughout this game. They've got the QB sneak with the tight end, which they got the penalty on. It was called on Tooney, but I'm pretty sure that I believe it was Noah Gray that took it, was moving forward before the ball was snapped. I don't know who it was for sure. They got stuffed on the fullback trap, something that has not happened since they started running it, and they got stuffed on that. So here comes the little play-action pass off of all of those. I think they tried in overtime. They tried to hit McCole Hardman on the little speed out of the bunch. And the only thing I think they were missing was the play. They used to run it to Tyreek Hill, and they've run it to McCole Hardman, where he comes across, in a motion behind the line of scrimmage, the ball snap while he's in motion, and they just try to fling it out to him right outside. Like, that's their only go-to short yardage play that I don't think I saw. So they had to go through them all in this game, and I just went through them all.
Yeah.
None of them really worked. None of those plays worked that they tried to do in short yardage situations. Like, that's a big tip of the hat to the Titans. They were all over what the Chiefs like to do, and they out-executed them on all of them besides the Noah Gray one, because the Chiefs had Patrick Mahomes.
Does this come back to Matt Lane is our guest, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, and also KC Laboratory Podcast. Does this come back to the Chiefs in this game and some others, just simple inability to run the football at all?
Maybe. The Titans have, I believe it's the best or one of the top 2 run defenses in the NFL. Nobody runs on them. You look even how that defensive line's constructed. It's all monstrous-sized guys. Even their defensive ends are 270-ish pounds, and they have one speed rusher in Bud Dupree, who's still a big guy, but everybody else is a big physical player. So I think they're made to stop the run. So I don't know if I take too much of that into it. I think the bigger issue than the Chiefs not being able to run the ball is they were unable to beat man coverage unless they ran long developing plays, unless they were running mesh, which is a longer developing play, unless they were getting some deep crossers because the Titans were doing a great job not allowing the Chiefs to switch at the line of scrimmage without getting physical with them. It took longer developing plays to create separation versus man coverage, and the Chiefs' protection and the pocket movement of Mahomes throughout much of the game just wasn't as good as it needed to be to get those plays through. So I'd go more that way than running the ball. I wasn't surprised the Chiefs couldn't run the ball on the Titans. And would I thought it would be that bad? No, but I didn't know if it would be a factor at all.
If you're moving forward and a skeptical eye, right, more maybe pessimistic as you watch games because it's through the lens and just talking and looking at it about how they're going to look in the playoffs and making the Super Bowl. If you're concerned about one element moving forward, is it the inconsistent run game? Or is it, the man-to-man coverage, and as you talked about against the Titans, that, just no separation unless it's a long developing play? That seems to be something that has, bit them a few times this year. Is it more concerned about the man-to-man wide receivers not being able to, break away and get space and get free, or the inconsistent running game?
For this season, it's going to be the man coverage ability. I don't see an easy path to the Chiefs fixing the run game during the year. I think it's an off-season thing, and whether that, we almost have to give up on the idea that the Chiefs are going to change their running scheme. At this point in time, we've seen it be successful when they go with gap stuff. We've seen it be successful when they start pulling linemen and running downhill. But within the very next week, they always return back to the zone stuff. It isn't working quite as well for them. So I don't think that they are going to get away from it. So any other fixes are going to have to come, I do believe, in the offseason, and probably even less about the players, the personnel that they have, and just more the emphasis on it. So without seeing a path to improving the run game during the year significantly enough, it has to be their ability to beat man coverage, because I do think they can fix that during the season. But we saw them beat man coverage against the 49ers. Now, the secondary was beat up a lot for the 49ers, but we saw them do it. So I think fixing that as the year goes along, or improving upon that, will go a lot farther with this team, just because the hurdle of fixing the run game, it looks impossible at this point.
Matt Land is our guest. Okay, so I want to talk about the defense, and we joked on Monday, Josh and I did, in a commercial break about, there's so much to take away from that game that there are things that we may not even get to the entire week, and we joked about, like, I could talk a whole segment about Colin Saunders, like about how he played, and I'm like, I don't know that we will get to him today. And then we made a point to specifically talk about Colin Saunders because he had too good of a game to just let that go by. And I love that you then went and wrote about it and looked at the game film, watched what he was able to do and the strengths that he brings to the table. So we see it in the game overall, and the commentators talking about Colin Saunders. What did you see when you started to do the deep dive on what he's now bringing to the table for this Chiefs team?
It's about the time that, the Chiefs hopefully are having the conversation, but like us on the outside have to have the conversation of, should he be technically starting over Derek Nottie? I don't know if there's an injury at play. I don't know if it's a difference in coaching points or what, but Derek Nottie looks to have really taken a step back from what he was 2 years ago. I know last year he played through some injuries. 2 years ago, he was great as a run stopper in the interior of the Chiefs' defensive line. Maybe the numbers didn't bear it out, but him specifically, he was really good. He's kind of just been getting a little worse and worse every year. And at this point, so far this year, I don't know if he's offering much to the Chiefs as a run stopper, and it's really noticeable when he's on the field versus when Colin Saunders on the field. Saunders is just surprisingly a lot more stout at the point of attack. Like, he does a really good job holding his point at the attack. He does a really good job fighting and getting extension off of a blocker so that he can then go chase the ball carrier. And I think that's the biggest difference, is maybe both guys can eat up space. Saunders is actually getting off of blocks and going to impede the ball carrier at a significantly higher rate than Nottie is. And I think that shows up to why when he's out there, the Titans are your running backs are hitting just under 3 yards per carry. And when Colin Saunders wasn't out there, they were up around 8 yards per carry.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's that's significant. I mean, is it as simple as that, or down in distance, things like that, like other things that certainly go into it? Obviously, all that's going to be baked in, even with the Derek Nottie part of it too. But that's such a stark contrast that it would be difficult just to say Colin Saunders on or off the field. But there's clearly an impact for what he's doing on the defensive line in having a role in that.
And part of it is certainly situational. I believe the 56-yard run came with Nottie on the field and not Saunders. Mm-hmm. Like, that right there is a huge chunk that goes into it. And it wasn't even like directly a Derek Nottie at fault kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But even if you just look at the run, Saunders was on the field when Derrick Henry hit the 24 or 26-yard run that he had as well. So they also gave up a chunk play with him out there. Yeah. It's just the consistency. Yep. And some of that goes into the Chiefs in the second half, changed up what they were doing. Saunders had a lot more, or got a lot of the drives, because they kind of split them, based on every other drive. You get Nottie or you get Saunders, and Saunders just happened to be out there on a few of the drives that the Titans ran. It's just he was making plays. The Chiefs defense as a whole were making plays. And I always come back to, there's a couple runs later in the game that's just outside zone, but you see Saunders not only, kind of beat his block, but he shows off a little range and goes and impacts the play out in the C gap, out by the defensive end. And I don't recall Derek Nottie really doing that at all this year. He's just kind of right there in the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. So I think they're a little bit more, like, they have more avenues to stop the run when Saunders is out there, just because of the range that he can show as a run defender. Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't seen maybe Nottie do that. I'm just like, is he capable of doing that? Like, is he athletic enough to do that? One of the plays that you pointed out in the game, I thought it was fascinating that he's lined up directly over the center. At the snap of the ball, he sort of swims the center, tosses him behind him,
is, then putting his arm up to stop the guard that's coming after him, that's blocking him to Colin Saunders' left. The center falls on the ground while Colin Saunders is looking for the ball while fighting off the left guard. He steps over the center on the ground and then goes and makes the tackle. Like here's the thing. We know he was athletic, right? We see the videos coming from the Senior Bowl and all of that stuff. I wonder, Matt, in your opinion, if this Colin Saunders would have been around before year 4, if it weren't for the injuries that he suffered, that the development, the technique, all of the stuff that you need to match then up with the athleticism, that this could have come sooner if it wasn't for some of the unfortunate and untimely injuries that took place for him.
Well, this is the crazy part about Colin Saunders' developmental arc to me is, coming from the college then through the Senior Bowl, the highlights are, the backflipping on the field. Mm-hmm. He has a play where he actually runs the arc and pulls like a 180-degree turn on the drop of a dime during the Senior Bowl game. So you're getting this athlete, explosive first step, flies all over the field. You watch him right now in this game with the Titans, he's one of the last guys off the ball every time. He's not really getting any penetration upfield. Like, you just watch his first 2 snaps after the snap, you don't really see that athleticism pop a ton. And part of it, I think, is the stance that they put him and Derek Nottie. And I don't know if that's a Colin move, a Spagnuolo move, or what, but they've kind of reduced his penetration ability, his explosiveness off the line of scrimmage. But like you said, you show him throw guys to the ground, and then once he gets out of his stance and he gets into that contact and discards a blocker, now all of a sudden you see this elite-level athlete for his size show back up again. So I think that the injuries, I don't know if they would have prevented him from getting here sooner. I do really think he needed some time to work on his technique and get stronger. He wasn't the strongest guy for being as big as he was when he got in the league. So I almost think the injuries give him a little bit of an excuse to not be developed or pushed onto the field too early before he was ready. So I think it's all coming together right now. He's gotten stronger. He's gotten bigger. His hands are a lot better. And then when he puts himself into the right position to use his athleticism instead of relying on it, you see it really pop on the field. So this might have been the best case scenario for him, just being such a developmental guy.
Yeah, I mean, I love the story. It's from being from St. Louis and small school and then Senior Bowl and then drafted. He's a great story. I mean, he's a great interview too. He's fun. He's very entertaining. In fact, I'd like to hear from him today, or just whenever, because he's always fun when he's talking, and he's making an impact. And he's a guy that I thought would be cut. So that whole part of it with Colin Saunders. It's one thing if it's like, Colin Saunders is out there, good for him, he's playing. No, he was a big freaking deal in that Titans game, and so hopefully that continues to be the case for Colin Saunders. One of the other guys I wanted to talk to you about real quick, and then we'll get a Jags prediction and let you go. Trent McDuffie returns and plays and graded out really well and wasn't really targeted except for that long pass, and he was able to not get a pass interference penalty and defend that. But also Karlaftis. So we've seen Karlaftis all year. He started off strong. The pressures, and there was a lot of hope about what he could do. He's still sitting with the 1/2 sack so far. McDuffie hasn't played much this year. He finally comes back. So as you look at the first-round draft picks for the Chiefs, essentially halfway through the season, what's your assessment and takeaway? Probably a question mark with McDuffie, but 6 quarters we've essentially seen him play, and then Karlaftis, who's played a lot of snaps.
Starting with McDuffie, we haven't seen a lot yet, and so it's a little early. You don't want to jump the gun, but when I watch him versus the Cardinals and the preseason and then what we just saw versus the Titans, it just looks really easy for him to look really good. I think that's the big thing. He's looked good through the little bit of football we've seen, but it just seems like it's very easy. He's not ever really put in a situation where he's panicking. He's doing everything technically correct, and it just looks like he's going through another rep of practice. So I think you feel really good about that from him. Like, you want to see him get challenged more to see what it starts to look like when he's getting pressed. But it looks just so natural and easy for him right now. So I do have a lot of hopes for McDuffie. And Karlaftis is kind of the opposite, right? Yeah, there's some plays where you see the elite physical freak that he is, and he easily moves guys, or he covers a lot of ground. He can toss any player in the league. We've seen him do it to Quentin Nelson, of all people, this year. But you watch him on other plays, and just the ability or the concept of rushing the passer looks so difficult from his perspective at times because he just doesn't have a good, feel for how you attack a blocker, where you put your hands, how you transition from having your hands in one place to turning that into a pass rush move. Like, it just, a lot of it looks difficult for him. He's physically a quality NFL player already, and I think that's why he plays so many reps and still makes plays versus the run and does get some pressures. But the concept of rushing the passer just looks so difficult for him right now, and you're kind of hoping as the year goes on it starts to just click a little bit more. But if you even go back to Purdue, it was kind of the same issue there. So you might just be in for a little bit more of a develop in terms of his actual pass rush plan or ability going forward.
All right, what do you think happens in the Chiefs and Jags game this weekend? And if you have a score, a number in mind for Sunday?
I think it'll be a pretty close game. For whatever it is, the Chiefs, AFC South and the Chiefs don't get along very well. They don't come out and beat them very easily like they should. The key to this game is pretty simply winning the first and third quarter or keeping it close. The Jaguars are really good in those two quarters, really bad in the second and the fourth. The Chiefs also have been very good in the first and third. So whichever team wins those two quarters probably comes away with this game. I think the Chiefs are more talented, and I think they're I don't want to say better coached, but they have been here. They have more experience. I trust them a lot more to come up big when things matter. That's kind of been the Achilles heel of the Jaguars this year, is they just make so many mistakes in close games. So I do anticipate the Chiefs winning. Let's say something like 31-24.
31-24. We got you down. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, great stuff as always. Really appreciate the time and good work there, looking in a little bit deeper to Colin Saunders. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. You too. KCSN.substack.com is where you can go and check all that stuff out. KC Laboratory Podcast as well with Matt Lane. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We will hear from the Chiefs coming up later on this hour. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, 913-381-0810.
I call him Singy McSinger Face.
Do you play album thing? Let's go to Ben.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you to Matt Lane. KCSN.substack.com, where you can find his work. KC Laboratory Podcast as well. He and Ken Swanson and Craig Stout, who we talk to on Thursdays, and then many, many others there at the website that you can go and check out. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. People were wondering if he was on a treadmill. No, I think he might have been. Well, I think a couple things. One, he's under the weather.
I think it sounded like Matt had a little cold.
Also, behind the scenes, Jim Irsay doesn't know how to make sausage, so we'll at least give you a little bit of an idea how the sausage is made.
We should.
This was the week for Kent Swanson.
And that mother bleeper.
Kent was unavailable, so Matt said, I got it, even under the weather.
Team player.
And I think he might have been trying to take care of some other things at the time when he was doing that because it was not his scheduled week. As in, I'll do it. I may have some other things to do at 11 o'clock and maybe try to move some things around. It kind of almost sounded like there was maybe a child or something in the background he might have been telling to shut up. No, I don't think it was shut up or anything.
Content was as good as ever, you
absolutely,
know?
Yes.
Sometimes I love that people were texting about it because we have headphones on in here, right? Like, we have headphones plugged directly into these lines. By the time it gets out over the air, even over streams and stuff, I don't always know what's going to come through.
Yeah.
But, I heard the I have a cold and I'm trying to get oxygen
absolutely
sort of thing, and then a couple water bottle pops.
That's right.
Just trying to eat because that's what warriors do.
That's and people have always said that about Matt.
Sometimes you got to play a little hurt.
Yep.
He went into the blue injury tent and he thought, all right, you know what, maybe I'm going to be done here. And then Kent went into the blue injury tent and they said, Matt,
we need somebody.
We know you're playing through pain here. We don't want to ask you anything you are not willing to do. And he said, Coach, say no more. Put his helmet back on and ran the wrong direction.
I mean, my nose is running more than the Chiefs against the Titans. So, I mean, I've got that issue that I'm dealing with right now.
In your defense, doesn't have to take very much.
Also,
one booger is more than the Chiefs ran against the Titans.
That could mean your nose is not running at all. It could mean a couple of things. I should say my nose is running more than they did against the 49ers.
My sinuses are perfect right now, and they're still running more than the Chiefs versus the Titans.
That's right. Tex says, well, he's better at covering up his injury than Tua. Tex said, he's a hockey reporter. I'm a hockey player. I'm a hockey player. I'm playing. I'm a hockey player.
God, I hope nobody tells Matt that we had this. I'm tempted to see if Matt's Twitter mentions have.
He would have fun with it, right? Wouldn't Matt?
I'm sure. I'm sure he would.
I know. I feel stuffed up, and I feel like I'm a little nasally when I'm talking.
It's just it is so rude that he was like, yeah, I'm going to cover for Kent. I'm going to help out here. And then he shows up a little stuffy, and we just cannot help ourselves. And again, I will say this. I texted Beards about it during the segment to be like, is that a little breathy to you?
No, he's under the weather. He's under the weather is all.
It's all right.
This is the time. The weather changing back and forth gets a lot of people, right?
You get these leaves falling, stuff's flying off those freaking leaves.
Right. Maybe you turned on the heat for the first time, and maybe you got some allergies affected, or just the dry air that maybe you're not using the humidifier as soon as in that sort of routine as you would be in like January or February.
Weather's weird right now.
Yeah.
It's like 70 degrees today, and then the snow miser shows up tomorrow.
The high of today was at midnight last night.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it's only going down. The temperature is just dropping throughout the day.
71 degrees in beautiful Kansas City right now. The high tomorrow is 40.
40, yeah.
And then, hey, do you know what the high for the next 10 days is? 45.
Is that Sunday? What's Sunday at noon look like?
Well, we'll be welcoming the Jacksonville Jaguars to Arrowhead Stadium at about between 43 and 22 degrees, the high and low on Sunday, respectively. So not exactly balmy for the Sunshine State team.
Interesting.
Coming to just a perfect November feel.
And it's the if it's a north wind, then it's even worse. If it's 40 degrees out at Arrowhead at noon.
Yeah.
But with the sun out, it can be a little different. Like it was 40
That's
degrees.
Noon helps.
On Sunday night, it was about 40 degrees, and it felt like it was 10 because the sun wasn't out and there was a cold breeze. Some would even call it, more than a breeze. It was like a wind, a gust at times. And that made it a little cold to where I decided that I needed to go and purchase a really expensive blanket in the team shop, which is now my son's new blanket. So we're getting something out of it.
That's right.
And it kept us warm. It was a very warm blanket. It just was a little overpriced, but that's fine. It is now a blanket in his room. All good. He likes it. Got a Chiefs blanket now.
Great memory. Got it at the game. That's a little different. It shows up in an Amazon box, and it's just a blanket. It's the blanket you bought at the game, though?
Yeah.
That's a game blanket. How much was it? I'm going to guess $80.
No, it wasn't 80. It was like 60.
All right. It's definitely more than I'd want to pay for a blanket, but,
They had a thinner fleece for like 40.
Yeah.
And then more of a thicker fleece kind of actual blanket for like 60. I'm like, well, you know what? It'll keep us warm here, and it's now Everett's new blanket. All good. There we go.
$60, not too much to pay for your son's love.
I continue to try to pay for it. It's running out of money. Text says, Jason, who's faster, your nose or your mouth? Oh, it's the mouth. The nose continues. When it's running, it's just trying to catch up. That's the thing. The nose can run as fast as it wants. It's never going to catch up to the mouth because one of the things that I grew up on was the Micro Machine Man. I love the Micro Machine Man.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
The horn just blew. Can I, does that mean I'm done?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Eric Bieniemy, and Juju Smith-Schuster. JSS, Juju Smith-Schuster. Newest member of my fantasy team there, Beards.
Let's go.
People are so pumped about that. They're so excited about that. They care. You know who cares about that? Braden Gall. He cares about it.
Nobody cares.
So we will hear from those four at the podium today.
Spags, we're going to get a little bit of what it was like to play Malik Willis and pretty much shut down that offense. That'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Spags on what he's going to do with not a rookie quarterback, but a very young quarterback this week.
Right.
I think we might get some good stuff from Spags.
Probably be asked about Colin Saunders, be asked about Trent McDuffie, what he saw in film in his first game back, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. Eric Bieniemy asked about the run game.
Probably a lot.
Eric Bieniemy, run game. Why? Just why? Dave Tobe asked about, so are you concerned about Harrison Butker?
Also, you're talking about making the sausage and letting people make the sausage. I think our dear beloved friend Adam Teicher is going to use the phrase "given up on Sky Moore" again. I like to put that bet down on DraftKings. I think Teicher's going to ask about Sky again.
No, I think it'll. I'm gonna place a bet on. He asked Tobe about concern with Butker. Yeah, I think
those both feel those are going to be Herbie or Teicher questions. I feel like.
Yeah,
but I think Teicher might have been the one to ask about Sky and about Butker the last couple of times.
Yeah.
There's a whole order of operations that kind of goes through your usual press conference, and
also
you're talking about nobody caring, but
also is Kadarius Toney going to get a little more work?
Yeah,
maybe as a punt returner, since we know that he's getting work as an offensive player. Got 9 snaps in the game. The first play of the game was a pass to Kadarius Toney, clearly wanting to get him involved. It's not just some random you acquire this wide receiver. Let's see what he can do. They acquired him because they want him to make an impact on this team and get involved very quickly, very soon in the game.
No McCole Hardman at practice again today. Something that certainly bears watching. This would be a rush, but might mean more work for Kadarius Toney if Hardman couldn't go.
True.
It'd be very early. I don't know.
Yep. Back-to-back days with no McCole out there at practice. So
Colin Saunders also out on a personal day for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Don't know what, but he's excused. He's fine and excused per the Chiefs.
Maybe he would have been the player they had today, but they're not going to have him via phone.
Yeah.
Can we bring him via Skype? Can we Zoom him in wherever he's at on his personal day? That's cool. Maybe he's out with his agent working on an extension with the Chiefs.
That's good.
It's a personal day to figure out what the market's going to look like for Colin Saunders. I mean, look, if they brought back Derek Nottie, on 1-year deal, then I'd certainly be interested in figuring out a way to bring back Colin Saunders. As it is right now, it's 8 games in, right? And this is the first time he's actually been healthy. But I think what's happening is the athleticism and the technique is starting to come together. Here's Dave Tobe.
He's a guy that I know he's going to bounce back from this little dip right now that he's had. He's coming off the injury. He mentioned that. I mean, those are all things that I know he's going to be better. In the next kick, he's going to make the next kick. He's going to get on a streak, and he's going to be good for us down the road. We have full confidence in Harrison.
We saw that right at Coach.
Excuse me.
We saw that right at Coach.
Yeah.
Was the thought process of keeping him more health related, or?
It's just he was a great kid. He was good to have in practice. He was fun to be around. Obviously, we wanted to make sure Butker was getting back, and when you have that many spots on a practice squad, it's really a luxury, to have a guy like that. And we usually don't, but he was such a good kid. We kept him around, and it was good for him because he learned a lot from Butker. I mean, he talked about he needed to improve his kickoffs, and Butker really helped him on his technique on that. And hopefully he has a lot of success. I mean, he's really a good kid, and I think Pittsburgh, they picked up the right guy. No pun intended. Go ahead.
You know, Harrison mentioned, I mean, not only does he not 100%, but that sometimes just his body's not doing what his mind tells it to do. As a coach, is there anything you can do to help him through that, or is it just letting him?
Well, what we did as a coach, we're increasing his reps, for the individual drills. We increased them by 3 or 4 reps with the team drill, each day. So hopefully that'll help him with a little bit as far as getting consistency. There's not a lot. We don't need to reinvent the wheel with the guy for sure. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and he knows why if he misses one, he knows exactly what he did. So that's him, figuring that out, and with the operation and the hold and everything, and just becoming more consistent in practice, so carry over into the games.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks. Take care.
All right, quick one to Dave Tobe. A lot of Butker talk. He'll come out of this dip that he's in. So he's calling it a dip, acknowledging that this is a struggle right now for Butker, whatever it might be. Butker yesterday acknowledging that and saying his body is not doing what his mind wants it to do, that there's a disconnect there on some, which is certainly concerning. They have a very big game next Sunday. This could be a closer game than some people expect, which means field goals could matter.
And Matthew Wright was signed to the active roster for the Pittsburgh Steelers off the Chiefs practice squad yesterday.
Good to
so
know.
That sets up why the questions about Matthew Wright.
Yeah,
he was on the practice squad still yesterday until Steelers swept him.
So now they can't bench Harrison Butker for Matthew Wright. Now they just can't say you're a healthy scratch, Butker. Get it figured out, man. Get it figured out. Get out of between your ears, okay? From the chin to the hairline.
Back to Justin Reid backup kicker season, I guess.
Yeah, there it is.
I can't believe how relevant that became after all of the jokes we made about it in training camp.
So fast.
Really quickly.
Became relevant. Oh, damn it. It's like, hey, yeah, let's talk to Justin Reid about something he'll never be asked to do. Yeah, let's focus on this. First game, Justin Reid, field goal, extra point. Okay, cool. Nice job, Jason. Good call, Zone. Nailed it.
I was with you on that one. That one was shocking.
Yeah. He also said a little more consistent in practice will carry over to the game. So, I don't know, maybe that's just what he's talking about when Butker says that the body's not doing what his mind wants it, what his mind wants it to do. Maybe that's even in practice that's going on, and once he finds that consistency in practice, that'll then carry over to the game. But both Harrison Butker and Dave Tobe acknowledging it is certainly concerning. Here's Eric Bieniemy.
Feels good coming off a gritty team victory. Thought our guys did a heck of a job at just persevering through adversity, and I'm talking about everyone that had a Chief uniform on. And now it's a new week and a new challenge. So with that said, I'm all ears.
Eric, the Titans really didn't blitz you guys hardly at all, especially the first half. I think it was literally not at all. Most of the time the adjustment is to a blitz, but how do you think that just you guys as an offense, particularly Patrick, have adjusted to teams not blitzing you guys?
You know what? I'll say this from a personal viewpoint. I think we've adjusted well. Just like I discuss each and every week, those guys on the other side of the ball get paid too. I thought Coach Rabel and his whole entire defensive staff did a hell of a game. That front that they have is very, very special. I shouldn't say the front seven. They do an outstanding job of getting after the quarterback. They create a lot of pressure with those guys. But I thought our guys gritted out a great team victory. And I'm not talking just about offense. I'm talking about offensively, defensively, and special teams. I thought it was a great team win. I thought it was a great character win. It's not anything that you do perfect, but we found a way, and that's all that matters.
Does it add a wrinkle to your game plan when you're watching teams that typically do blitz, knowing that's probably not what you're going to see on Sunday?
Well, each week we go into a game with a contingency plan because everyone seems to have a different outlook on how they're going to prepare and play the Chiefs. So we always go into a game plan with a thought process on what we think they're going to do, but also understanding that at any given moment they could change up, the perception of what we've seen on tape. So we just make sure that our guys are prepared regardless, whether they're blitzing or not. We want them to make sure that there's a contingency plan. They understand every which way that we want to attack.
Y'all were able to get 500 yards, so this is no doubt nitpicking a little bit, but how do you get the run game going? What's been the problem?
We got to run it. We got to invest in it, meaning that we just can't run it a few times and expect success. Just like I just discussed, this front seven was very, very impressive. These guys did a hell of a job. But it's just like anything that you say, like when you're pounding concrete and you're using that hammer, it's not going to break the first few times you utilize it, correct? It's going to take a while. So we need to find out if we can run it. But on top of that, we have to consistently invest in it. So I got to do a better job. As a staff, we have to do a better job. That way we're giving our guys up front and those backs an opportunity to make it happen.
Coach, yesterday Patrick was discussing in overtime that 4th-and-1 situation. He went over the sidelines, was talking to you, was talking to Coach. Before the decision was made, what do you typically want to hear as far as input before you make your decision if you are going to go for it or you make a call to go for it?
Well, believe it or not, those discussions are handled prior to that moment. So we know exactly what we're thinking and what we want to do. Those are situations that we prepare for. On top of that, we have conversations with the quarterbacks the night before that meeting. And, you know, in case we're in this situation, what's your call? And we'd sit and discuss. And so those things are already mapped out. So you always got to go into a game with a contingency plan. Hey, if this situation comes up, how do we want to handle this?
Coach, with that being said, how concerned are you about McCole if he ends up not going? I know it's next man up, but what would that adjustment look like for you guys?
Well, let me just say this. First and foremost, I never discuss injuries. You know, our training staff will handle that. But I know nobody likes to hear the next man up, but that's the attitude mindset that we take, because our coaches do an outstanding job of preparing everyone, all right, to be at their best when their best is needed. We're coaching our starters to be the starters, but on top of that, we're coaching the next man to be ready to play. So that's our job of making sure, in case someone is not ready and they can't play, that the next man is ready to go out and perform.
Coach, what do you think you've seen so far on tape here of the Jags? The coach said yesterday they look like they've been fighting through every game and really battling. What are you seeing from the defense so far?
It's a very, very good defense. And I'll tell you what, and these guys got some great athletes out there. They're very, very good up front. It seems like each and every week I come to this podium, I'm talking about that damn defensive line. And these guys are another crew. They're very good. And they got a couple of guys that have been drafted high, but they play hard, they play fast, they fly around to the ball. They got some nice young secondary players. This team is better than what their record states, okay? Obviously, they're young, but this is one of those games, if you take it for granted, you'll find yourself looking up at the scoreboard and you'll be down a whole lot. So our job is to make sure that we're handling and conducting our business from play one to the end to that last whistle.
A couple more, Dave.
I know Kadarius is probably still swimming in the playbook right now, but this is kind of going off of what Haley asked about McCole. He's a guy that seems like he has kind of a similar skill set. He can do some of those jet sweeps and things like that. Is that something that he could conceivably do once he gets his feet under it?
Well, if I told you everything that he can do, I'd be letting the cat out the bag, right? Let's just say this, all right? We're coaching all our guys to go out there and making sure that they can be at their best when their best is needed. So whatever role that he needs to wear, or whatever hat that he needs to wear, hell, we need him to go play quarterback, him, McCole, Clyde, any of them. They'll go out and do the best that they can do.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, there's Eric Bieniemy presenting his thoughts about the front of the Jags this weekend. I mean, you can just hear in his voice what the coaches see on tape for the Jags front. I mean, they've drafted some talented physical players. Have those players put it together to be a team, to look like what the Titans defense has looked like in their front four, front seven? Not yet, but they have some players that individually can be a play wrecker. Maybe not a game wrecker, but a play wrecker from time to time, and you got to figure it out. And the analogy he used today that he's used before about a hammer breaking concrete and running the football, that if you're using a hammer to break concrete, it's not going to break on the first couple of times. You have to keep hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting and hammering away for it to eventually break. And he said that with the run game, they have to invest in it. Can't run it a few times and expect success. Well, the Titans, they ran it a few times. There was no success. I'm not sure the answer in that game would have been you should be handing it off more.
Yeah.
I would not have wanted them to hand it off more. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Here's Steve Spagnuolo.
I guess we're going to I guess the temperature's going to change on us, huh? That's what they're saying. I just got asked, I was talking to Tony and Jim Nance, got asked, I don't know, I forget how they questioned it, but do you think it's good that Jacksonville's coming up here and it's going to be cold? And I hope it's an advantage, but who knows? Sometimes I worry about our new guys that have only played in warm weather. And then we get a first cold game here, but we'll see how that works out. With that, I'll open it up.
Speaking of new guys, how do you feel like McDuffie did?
Yeah, I was just talking about Trent. I thought he did a really good job, Adam. You know, I say this all the time, that sometimes corners don't get any recognition when they're doing exactly what you want them to do, right? They're over there pressed and the quarterback doesn't throw it there. But, you know, he had 2 really good plays where he was hip to hip on a 9 route. And the other thing I thought he did a really good job of, him, LJ, and Jalen all had a shot at it, is in those situations they were looking for the football.
And they were looking for the foot. Foot what?
Just the foot, probably.
They're just looking at a foot?
Maybe
looking
just
for a foot.
Maybe just looking for feet.
Yeah. Well, he was looking for a hamstring for a while, but now he's looking for a foot.
Speaking of breaking news, the Raiders just put Darren Waller on IR.
Oh, that's interesting. You know who else looking for a foot? Rex Ryan. So maybe there's a Rex Ryan. I like this Trent McDuffie guy. That guy's out there just looking for feet. Just go there. Let's go back out to Spags.
And a little bit of man. Sometimes when you're in man and that receiver's cracking or he's blocking somebody, you got to transition from man to being a run defender. And there was a couple instances where I thought Trent did a really good job of that. So there were some things, even though it wasn't all pass, that we were happy with what he did.
That's the first time you've seen Jacksonville in a while.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that quarterback and also the running back as well?
Yeah, listen, I think they knew exactly what they were doing when they kind of upgraded him to being the guy. I mean, 3 straight games over. Yeah. 3 straight games over 100. I've always thought the quarterback was really good from back in his college days. Now, I didn't see a lot of him last year, obviously. And I got a lot of respect for Doug. I think they're doing what they really feel like they need to do with the talent they have. I think the system, you know, they're getting a feel for who they are, kind of like what I talk about all the time, right? At the beginning of the year, trying to figure out what you have and what you're going to use and what plays you're going to run. I think they've figured it out, and now they're rolling. I mean, you put the tape on, and a lot of the games early in the game, they're running right down the field. They did against the Giants. They did against other people, and they're putting points on the board. There's a lot of talent there. In a lot of ways, this will be a tougher test than last Sunday was. I mean, we were a little fortunate in that Ryan Tannehill didn't play, obviously, right? That's an experienced quarterback, but this group is pretty good.
Steve, it's easy for us to look at sacks as a marker of whether the guy had a good game or not, and Carlos had 1.5.
Yeah.
How would you...
No, he played solid. I mean, those are obviously key moments and big plays, and we always want our guys making big plays. They make a big difference in the game, right? That's a overstatement, right? You get interception, a fumble recovery, a sack. The play that Nick made on the screen was huge. But Carlos made those couple of big plays, and I thought he played solid in the other parts of the game that you don't really see.
He's talked to us a lot about how important getting to 100 sacks for his career is. He's at 99.5.
Yeah.
Has he relayed that to you at all? How important that is?
No, I don't.
Sense for that otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just figured that's obvious, right? I mean, I'd want to do the same, but I haven't had the conversation with him. It just I'm a firm believer in you let those things take care of themselves, and I think he probably feels the same way. I really hope that he gets it and more. I hope he doesn't get 100 and stop there, right? But I'm happy for him, and I hope that. I hope he accomplishes that in the next game.
He's a guy who's done it for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Is there something that stands out about him as a pass rusher, you feel like?
You know, his length more than anything. And I do think he's really good at what he does counter-wise. Like, he's smart enough to know what tackles take away and then where he's got to go with it next. And then, you know, I don't know what happened offensive line and on that one play, but I'm not sure I'd put a running back on Carlos Dunlap on that one. But sometimes that happens, and, you know, we got to win that
When it comes
play.
to Alan Saunders, just two-prong, how important has he been to you guys? I know he's not injured, he's huge right now. Can he play if he isn't able to work for whatever reason this week?
I'm sorry.
Saunders?
Yeah. Hopefully he'll be fine. But I thought he had a real solid game. And certainly at the end, you know, he made some. And we've always felt like we put, you know, Mike Dana goes inside on rushing downs, and we put some ends in there. And George and whatnot. But Colin has always been one of those guys Joe and I have talked about that has quick enough feet where he can be an inside pass rusher for us. But I thought he did really good in the first and second down run game part of it throughout the game.
On the quarterback for Trevor Lawrence, he hasn't had a lot of experience, but what is it about him that you like in his game at this point right now that can be a danger to you guys?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't realize he was 6'6". I mean, he's a big quarterback that when he can sit in there, like most of these big, strong-armed quarterbacks, when he's able to sit in there, he's very accurate, gets the ball where he wants to put it. 17, Ingram, who was with me in New York, I think is a real good tight end route runner. I think they got a really good chemistry together, him and 13. And I just think he's operating in Doug's offense really, really good. And what I didn't know about him is how athletic he is. Like their movement passes with him getting out of the perimeter are way more impressive than I thought they were. My recollection of Trevor Lawrence was really from college, because I'm not putting on Jacksonville tape really unless we're playing him. And I just remember him being, I didn't feel like he ever threw an incomplete pass in college. I mean, really good. And he's a runner too, right? He does a lot of his own options. So got a great deal of respect for him.
Let's close it out with Haley McKenzie. Go ahead. Coach, just going kind of off of what Tom said about Trevor Lawrence, I was looking at it last week. I think he only had one pass that was over 20 yards, and the rest of them were kind of within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
When you see a quarterback doing that, everyone's praising him for that amazing game, but do you challenge him to go deep in this game?
Well, it's funny because, Mike Frazier gives me stats in his sheets, and one of them I do remember saying that, now I don't know if they're comparing it to a year ago, but it said, I remember vividly saying Trevor Lawrence is taking more shots downfield. Right. Now, I don't know if that was compared to last year, so I'm looking at it and saying, okay, this guy, and he does have a strong arm. So what we're not going to do is, we're probably not going to take for granted that that's all he does. You know what I'm saying? Some of the things that we'll do will probably encourage him to throw it deep and hopefully have somebody back over there over the top. But I don't know that we'd change the plan drastically just based on that stat.
Last one.
I was just going to ask, how do you feel like the defense has stepped up? I mean, you were out Willie Gay and then Frank Clark. Just how do you feel like those guys have stepped up to kind of fill those voids?
Yeah, well, when Darius Harris went in there for Willie, I thought he did a real solid job. And we had Malik Herron went in, and Carlos and George and Mike Dana, really the four guys that played DN last week without Frank. I think we missed some of Frank's, edge, speed, and those passing situations, and we really want to get him back. But really pleased in what the guys have done. I think it's advantageous, sometimes when this happens for guys to get some reps and find out what they are. We found out a lot about Darius Harris, and I think we found a lot about Malik Herring too. Thanks. Okay, you got it.
All right, there's Steve Spagnuolo liking what he saw from Trent McDuffie in the game and about the Jags offense, that they're starting to get a feel for who they are. And then the Trevor Lawrence number that we had talked about, that he had attempted one pass that was more than 19 yards downfield, that Spagnuolo saying, well, one of the numbers that he was given was that he's throwing the ball, deeper this year, taking more chances. That may be the case overall. They're not accurate since he's got second highest off-target deep passes this year. He said that some things we'll do will challenge him to throw it deep. Hopefully we'll have somebody waiting there over the top.
Hopefully.
So essentially saying, yeah, I mean, these are the things we see, and we will challenge him to try to beat us over the top from time to time. And if he attempts that, hopefully our scheme is putting somebody in position to where we are challenging them to do that. Sort of like John Calipari's defense is to funnel players into his shot blockers. So hopefully your shot blocker is good enough with his awareness and help defense that he's there to block the shot. So hopefully you are challenging him to throw the ball deep. When he does, you will have somebody there to then knock it away or intercept the pass, but maybe a feel of, yeah, we're gonna press the line of scrimmage. We're gonna press the first 5 to 10 yards and see if he will attack us. And if he's not going to, then we're gonna stay doing that.
Yeah.
And if he does challenge us over the top, well, hopefully part of our scheme will have somebody there.
If Trevor Lawrence drops one over the top early in this game, fans shouldn't freak out, because I could absolutely see that being a measure of a test for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And if he shows you that he can do it, then in the second half, I bet the Chiefs come out and respect it a little bit more. But the other thing is, really with Lawrence, I think this is the underrated part of his game. You can't give him that underneath stuff that just worked through, because he will work through it better than most second-year quarterbacks will.
And he's accurate.
And he will do it. He will do it quickly and accurately. And he's done a very good job this year, it seems, of finding the right guy, at least in that range of the field.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he gets impatient that, okay, all we're doing is throwing, 5-10 yards at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I mean, come on. Let me have some fun. Let me throw it deep a couple of times just for S's and G's. Let me just do that. It looks like he's, we've talked about that with Patrick Mahomes, that sometimes Mahomes will be like, I know I can get this 7 yards right there, but if I hold it a little longer, I might get the 20 over there. And then what did the broadcast say on Sunday night when, they start that final drive and hit Juju for a quick pass, and it's like, okay, go back to what worked early, take those quick passes, quick strikes, pick up 6-7 yards, and keep this thing moving. It's a good drive starter. Let's go. I don't know. I've never watched Trevor Lawrence for 2 or 3 full games in a row. Maybe he is that guy, but he seems like a guy who's more willing to go, all right, this is what the read is. I'm throwing it here, and I'm not going to get impatient and throw it over the top just for the sake of throwing it over the top.
And I think there are multiple ways to build a quarterback, right? You can be a guy that starts that way, and then he has the arm strength for it. So if he's just being discerning about when he goes down the field, that could serve him well in his career. If he becomes gun shy, it will become an issue. So that's just that's the fun of watching a young quarterback try to get his footing.
Yeah, and I think Doug Peterson will get more out of him than Urban Meyer would have.
I think that's fair.
So that's probably a good move from Urban. And a lot of it last year, people were talking about that, Trevor Lawrence, most of the struggles or any struggle was directly related to Urban Meyer and what he was doing. Well, he hasn't been a perfect quarterback this year. Again, as we talked about, he's had some off-target deep throws. I do wonder how much like his off-target deep throw is the wide receiver running the wrong route. Like if a wide receiver is running a route and then starts to curl it when he's supposed to continue that down the sideline, Lawrence throws it, and that guy curls it, and it's 10 yards over his head. It's like, well, that's an off-target deep pass. Sorry, dude. When it might have been more of a miscommunication, wide receiver read it wrong. So
it'll be very interesting to see how this offense gels. I think that, again, specifically Urban Meyer, Doug Peterson, no joke, but like letting Doug Peterson kind of rebuild this offense in a way that, again, has a logic to it to kind of build Lawrence up to use the weapons he has currently. I really do think it'll look different next year with Calvin Ridley. Like I am very intrigued as an AFC viewer. I'm very intrigued to see what the Jags look like over the next couple of years, but I don't think that it's going to end up being enough for them to get by against the Chiefs on Sunday. That's the cost of doing business, though.
Yeah, and he talked about what he saw in Travis Etienne, running back, and what he can offer as well. And he knows Evan Ingram. He was there around him. So he knows what he can do, which is be really inconsistent and have a good game sometimes and then drop everything thrown his way another game.
Since we're going to just wait a second for Juju, can I tell you a cool thing that's going on today?
That he's showering right now?
Well, I wasn't going to share that with the people.
Oh,
but I did want to let people know something that Cars for Heroes is doing. A great organization that we've worked with a few times.
Thank you.
Cars for Heroes and Shamrock Roofing are putting on a huge Cars for Heroes giveaway today at the Disabled American Veterans Complex off 40 Highway until 1:30 today. I'm sure they've already started this whole process. It started a little earlier in the day, but they're giving away 7 cars to veterans in need of transportation at the Disabled Americans Veterans Complex, one vehicle in Wichita, 1 in Columbia, and 3 in Tampa, Florida. Wow. So join them and also just support the organization. Again, we've done a few giveaways with them. It's always been a really cool moment. Yeah. So join them today if you want to get out there to the Disabled American Veterans Complex off 40 Highway before 1:30 and join them for the special Veterans Day. And you can find out how you can donate and help that cause at carsforheroes.org. That's cars, the number 4heroes.org.
Yeah, thank you for getting that and saying that. So wanted to mention that earlier and completely slipped my mind.
That's
but
all
yes,
right. That's all right. That's what we're here for.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
They do really good work.
Yes.
Again, carsforheroes.org if you want to learn more about the organization.
Right.
And Shamrock Roofing's been an awesome partner for them.
That's right. And there's a lot of organizations out there that try to do what they can for veterans returning home that may be in need of help, whether that is for a house, if it is for a car, trying to do what they can just to give back a little bit, because that is, there's a lot of people, certainly in my position, I acknowledge that, sometimes you take for granted just saying, well, let me get in the car and go up to the store real quick.
100%.
That is something that just can easily be taken for granted. Whereas, you got somebody who's served in the military and served this country that doesn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Seems kind of odd.
Yep. Kind of messed up. Kind of very good that we have people like Hearts for Heroes trying to solve that problem.
It's like a good and a bad thing. It's good that there are people there that are doing that. It's a bad thing that it's even needed, right?
Right.
To a degree. So thank you for talking about that as well.
Thanks to Cars for Heroes and Shamrock Roof.
Yes, and we'll hear from Juju Smith-Schuster once he gets out of the shower. Todd relayed to us behind the scenes I'm not going to say that, behind the scenes in the locker room that said they were saying Juju around 12:15. He just went on to the went and headed to the shower. So it probably won't be 12:15. I asked Beard. I asked Beard, should we take a quick break?
I thought we might break right away. You asked Beards about a break.
Nah, let's just go ahead and wait it out.
Beard said, let's let her ride.
I said, bless you, sir.
I said, why didn't Lebo try to follow Juju? Just stick your phone in there and just try to ask the questions at that point. You don't have to, look away, but just, hold your phone out. Hey, Juju, thoughts against
I didn't want him walking out into the podium in a towel and me having to scramble to come back from break. So
it's a good point. How quickly do people shower? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Could it be a quick rinse off?
This is a pre-practice shower, right? So
that's a good point.
So I don't know. I don't know what the habits of professional athletes are.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right?
Because
pre-practice today?
Tomorrow, the media availability is after practice.
Yeah. But today it's Colin Saunders and Nicole Hardman won't practice.
Colin Saunders excused. It is a personal day for him.
Good. Thank you.
He had put that in for a personal day 2 months ago.
Right.
So he
totally
was granted,
forgot in season. Yeah.
He was granted this day off today. They approved it.
The chief said something like he's fine. So anytime someone is away for personal reasons, you get a little nervous. But
yeah.
And Spags there, even when he was asked about maybe playing without Saunders, said sounds like he should be fine. So it seems like the vibes around that one are all okay in terms of excuse for personal reasons. Lots of times that means something going on in the family or whatever. You just hope everyone's healthy and doing okay. But it sounds like this is probably a good one, an okay one for Colin Saunders, hopefully.
Whereas McCole Hardman will not practice today, did not practice yesterday. And Eric Bieniemy was asked about that, and he's like, yeah, no, I hate to keep going to the well, but it's going to be next man up. Everybody's got to prepare like they're going to start, like they're going to play. And if McColl's not out there, then whoever we have out there should be ready to go and to fill that role.
Also, reports here beginning to come through that Bills quarterback Josh Allen was not practicing during the media viewing portion of practice on Thursday. Somebody in the responses mentioned that you're getting a Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs revenge game. Think about that.
Whoa! What's the breaking news?
It was that.
Oh, okay, good.
Sometimes you got to put the lid back on the breaking news.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We didn't let people know that we were walking into the breaking news room.
Exactly.
But
I was going to do it right before Josh did it. He stole my breaking news.
Were you really?
He's a new scooper.
I'm a scooper.
But we did let them know that we have now left the breaking room news.
Yes.
And anything we present now is just completely subjective and it is editorialized.
And not necessarily breaking. You know how in Spanish, whenever you have an exclamation point, you have the upside down exclamation point at the beginning?
Yeah.
That's how I feel like the breaking news things works. It's like, hey, just, this sentence is about to be exciting. Boom, breaking news. Then the news, then you hit it again.
Yeah.
In that case, I just sort of steamrolled into it, and then that was just the exclamation point.
That was just the English version.
Exactly.
That's right. By the way, on NFL Network, it says new right now that Josh Allen was not seen during the media portion of practice today, so probably need to get that out there and let people know that is what's going on in Buffalo right now.
Huge. Breaking. Hashtag breaking.
What a great break-in.
Was that a limited fake Jim Rome?
Terrible Jim Rome.
I at least got what it was without you having to say, I'm Jim Rome, Rackham.
Dear Rome, I'm not working right now. Signed, Josh Allen's elbow. What a great email.
That's not terrible.
A great email.
Great. Making great two syllables is really important.
So bad. It's not good at all.
It's not the worst.
I just like reading the fake emails. I just like presenting the emails of, Dear Rome, I'm not working right now. Signed, Josh Allen's elbow.
But you have to do it in the voice.
Yeah, because then it's just like, well, are you just copying off Jim Rome, like reading emails like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, it's a Jim Rome impression. Didn't sound like one. Didn't sound, because you didn't end it by going, I'm Jim Rome, like
right
you
here,
typically do.
On the Progressive, Allstate, State Farm, hotline, text comes through.
That's right.
Rome.
Rackham.
Rackham.
Rackham. That's my Jim Rome impression. Rackham.
I'm Jim Rome. Rackham.
Yeah, boy, one of the bigger nights in my early broadcasting intern days was the Jim Rome Media Tour stop here in KC. That thing was unreal.
I have so many questions. I could ask you questions about this until the moment Juju is at the podium, because maybe that may only be a minute. How on earth did that go? I've seen like pictures, I've heard of it, but it sounds like a fever dream.
Crazy. It was crazy how many people were there, what the night felt like it was a concert or something. You know,
I guess McAfee could do that now. Probably he probably
yeah.
has that poll, but I don't know if anybody else could,
because it would be like a party.
Yeah,
it was a big party.
Yeah,
it's a huge party that night, and that would be like probably with Pat McAfee as well. That it might be just a huge party wherever he ends up going.
Dan Patrick is enormous, but like
it wouldn't be like a fun. Everybody's out there. Like,
I think it's a meet and greet. Yeah,
that's right. It's a meet and greet. Yeah, it's wine and cheese.
Right.
It's not beer and
cake stands and stage diving,
heavy metal music
right.
going on, and screaming
right.
into a microphone, and people losing their voices, and maybe being on the stage a little too intoxicated. But here's Juju Smith-Schuster.
Success in this recent stretch for you.
I just think just playing fast and then playing with one another. As you guys can see, like the more and more, we get into things, our offense, it pretty much shows.
When you have a game like that, 68 passes and all that stuff, hard-hitting game, what's that like for your body to recover? You do anything different this week after you run through that many plays?
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of the balls that, it was a physical game from the beginning to end, even into overtime. A lot of the balls that I caught, at least, were, kind of catch, bang, hit kind of situation. So definitely this week, 2 massages. Damn, my fault. I should have said that. All right. But for me, at least, it's, the 2 massages, working with the trainers, ice tub, cold tub, hot tub, foam rolling, pretty much everything you can do to get back.
After dealing with some injuries last year and then a little bit at the beginning of this year, how does it feel halfway through the season? Do you feel like you're in better shape than maybe you were?
Yeah, nah, for sure. And I think definitely like just playing, our offense is so, hurry up offense. The conditioning and everything, all works in hand.
We're at the halfway point of the year. Juju, I just wonder your perspective, maybe your appreciation has grown playing next to Travis.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable player, very, very smart. I think one of the best things that I like about Travis is that he's able to identify the defense and what covers you're in, and then I pretty much know too. So we kind of just work hand in hand. That communication of not a lot of talking, but just playing with our pads and just playing, with leverage, versus, a man team versus a zone team, and that's something that we've been doing.
You guys got Kadarius Toney in last week, got some play, pretty early there. What do you think the learning curve is like for him? You've gone through learning this offense, but you had the offseason to do it. What do you think it's been like for him, and what have you thought about it? You kind of jumped in.
I think he's doing great. We kind of, coach, the first week he gets here, he's in there. As you can see, he was making plays for us. And I think, as time goes on, you'll see him obviously in there more, making more plays. But as far as him learning, he's come along, a long way. But I would say that he's very smart. He's good at what he does. He knows how to get open. He knows spaces. So that's good.
Juju, you guys see such few blitzes. What's sort of the key to continually to be consistent, moving the ball when teams aren't giving you the big shot plays because they're not blitzing toward it?
I think for us is being able to get the rundown, the run game going, and that's something that you throw the ball 68 times, kind of puts a lot of pressure on the O-line and for Pat to actually make those plays. But I think once you get a nice run game going, kind of like hand in hand, it kind of opens up those deep passes. I mean, you can see at the 49er game, we had a couple of big runs that set up the deep passes. So, yeah.
Juju, of course, on the one-year deal, it's been a successful first half. How open are you maybe to staying in Kansas City, or is that something you want to deal with maybe at the end of the year?
I would love to stay here, to be honest. This offense is unbelievable. Coaching staff's unbelievable. If it was up to me, of course, why not? You get to play with one of the best quarterbacks, in the game. So, yeah.
Is the situation here what you thought it would be when you signed here?
I knew it was a high-power offense just looking at numbers. And coming here, it kind of just and kind of like last year, we were kind of going to do the same thing. Like they were talking about it as far as like, this is what their office is, this is what they're doing, and actually now being here and actually being in it, yeah.
You wish you'd come here last year when you kind of had that chance?
Nah. I was very, very happy with my decision last year.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good one,
That's great. That was good. I like that Adam at the end there. Huh? You wish you'd have come here last. Okay, that's it. See you guys. Get the hell out.
That's a good one, though.
I'm not following it, but not doing it. Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Not gonna do it. Yeah, he's open to staying. I think the Chiefs
sounded genuine.
Yeah,
sounded real.
I'd love to stay here. I'd love to be here in Kansas City. Yeah, I mean the last 3 weeks, he's come into his own with the relationship with Patrick Mahomes. There's no longer is this an MVS week? Is this a Juju Smith-Schuster week? He got 5 targets, 5 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown against Buffalo. 8 targets, 7 receptions, 124 and a touchdown against San Francisco. 12 targets, 10 receptions, 88 yards, no touchdowns against the Titans. But obviously you go from 5 targets to 8 targets to 12 targets, 5 receptions to 7 to 10. In those 3 weeks, you're becoming more and more a part of the offense. Now, he also went from 35 plays against the 49ers to 83 plays against the Titans. So, literally doubling his workload is what happened against the Titans. Oh, whoa. Okay.
Washington, D.C. Attorney General is suing Dan Snyder.
Oh, okay.
Any more pertinent information on that one we should know about?
There are some tweets.
There's some tweets?
I'll send them over. Yeah. Computer Cowboy retweeted some of the screenshots.
All right.
So if you want to go there.
That's Benjamin Baldwin.
We'll get into
of The Athletic.
Whatever that may mean on the other side of the break. 913-912-4810. Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. Presented by Johnny's Tavern. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Dip him in once, flip him over, dip him in again. I don't know.
Oh, a double dip.
I would double dip the baby.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Coming up at 1 o'clock, it is Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. Okay, so the Attorney General is suing the Washington Commanders, the organization, Dan Snyder, the NFL, and Roger Goodell. So kind of just throwing a net over any and everybody involved with that franchise.
And then it's got grenade weights at the end of it.
Could be.
Carson Wentz is tangled up in that net like, hey, man, hey, I just work here. I don't deserve this.
So what the lawsuit is alleging from the Attorney General is that the Commanders, why they're being sued by the Attorney General, had this work environment of misogyny, women being objectified, intimidation being the way that was sort of presented in the workplace, but they needed to continue to make money. The money was from the consumers of the city and Commanders fans to buy tickets, and in order to get them to continue to buy tickets, they presented this independent investigation that they would be doing everything they could. They would work with the NFL. They wanted to make sure that everything was figured out, and it was eliminated from the organization and extinguished as a part of what was going on behind the scenes. And what the Attorney General is alleging is that while this was going on and the NFL entering into this independent investigation and the statements by the Commanders to the public about this is what they're doing, he says Snyder and the team, while this is all going on with says despite the public proclamations, this is in the lawsuit, despite their public proclamations promising to uphold the integrity of the investigation, defendants actively worked to thwart the investigation and suppress its results. Days after assuming control of the investigation to ensure it was independent of the team, the league, NFL, entered into an agreement with the team that guaranteed Snyder the authority to block the public release of any information coming out of the investigation. Meanwhile, Snyder and the team launched a campaign to interfere with and obstruct the investigation. Snyder and the Commanders attempted to prevent witnesses from talking to Wilkinson, who was the independent investigator, through payoffs and intimidation, and engaged in aggressive, abusive litigation to dig up information on victims and the journalists who reported on the defendants' misconduct. The NFL was fully aware of the intimidation campaign, is what is alleged in the lawsuit. The course of defendants' conduct suggests the NFL was never serious about overseeing a thorough and complete investigation into Snyder and the team's misconduct. As the investigation progressed, the NFL received routine updates from Wilkinson's investigators. Weeks after Goodell was first personally briefed by Wilkinson during the heart of the investigation into Snyder's pervasive misconduct, the NFL approved a waiver of league rules to let Snyder buy out 3 minority owners and gain 100% ownership control of the team. Finally, the NFL refused to release Wilkinson's detailed findings after a lengthy investigation, an arrangement negotiated directly with Dan Snyder. Then he goes on to why this is an issue, saying the district consumers reasonably understood that the organization was going to act in good faith and present this publicly, and then they would do what they presented publicly so that the trust of the public would then be in the organization and they would continue to buy tickets. Essentially, he's saying consumers would not buy tickets if the organization was not coming out and saying, we are going to commit to this investigation and extinguish anything that's going on behind the scenes. And if they would not have presented it that way, then Commanders fans would not have spent money, parking, tickets, all of that stuff. It's kind of the heart of that. The victims are the fans that spent money on the tickets, and the lawsuit is coming on their behalf to the Commanders.
Am I remembering this correctly, where it was also a verbal report that was given to the league and not a written one to where that couldn't be accidentally leaked out?
And there was no paper trail.
I can't remember if that was an additional one or if that was the same thing, Beards. Because so one thing, if you want to see some of the visuals of this, also I've been just sort of zooming in and reading some of the stuff. AJ Perez of Front Office Sports, it looks like he's at the press conference. He tweeted out a picture where you can see the AG with these like small billboards up on the sides of them, on little easels or whatever, kind of summarizing some of the stuff,
like poster board type.
Poster board, thank you. And one of them is the Commanders associated the team's brand with DC and continue to target district consumers in its marketing and sales efforts. And it's a jacket with a big DC on it, and on the new black uniforms, they've got what I believe is a Washington colorway of the DC flag, right? One thing that it might be a little bit of an offshoot of this, but I am fascinated by, is this idea that sports teams who fully take on the naming and branding of the state or city could be held accountable to the residents of that state or city. I don't know if this is going to end up being a huge can of worms that gets opened up across American sports, but every team does this to some extent, right? You're selling Kansas City, you're selling DC. You try to tap into that like civic pride. And in this case, obviously, it is a case of tremendous mishandling of all of that.
Because this is
an interesting way for them to frame it.
It's kind of an understood, unwritten contract between the organization and the fan base and the public. Whereas if you default on whatever your responsibility would be in the building of the public financed stadium,
certainly in finances, yeah,
and whatever the taxes may be, and you're not upholding whatever you might have oversight or anything that is upkeep that you're not then paying for, well then yeah, you could be sued because the contract is saying that you should be paying this amount of money and the city's having to pay for it, but you're not. Yeah, that would be an actual contract that you're breaking. This seems to be an unwritten, unspoken, simply understood contract between the organization that is going to present the full information
the
of what's,
findings
just in general, like from the Chiefs to the public, of what's going on behind the scenes, and if there is any question of public trust, then the money would not be spent by the consumers to go and watch your product. The issue with that would be, and not every single team, I think the NFL overall, I've said it before, the NFL seems to be very, the NFL is inelastic when it comes to the highs and lows and demands and of what would be a regular part of the economy, that no matter what, it continues to grow and make more and more and more money, and the organizations and the franchises are valued at a higher and higher rate every single year, no matter what's going on within the organization or within the NFL and the league. So is it then going to be accepted as an argument and a case that, no, if they would have presented this, the full truth, the fans would not have showed up and spent money to go to the games, as opposed to it being argued, look, man, it's the NFL. You can lie to the people's faces. They're still going to go there because they're rooting for the team and not that person.
Right, and
they're not rooting for the owner. They're rooting for the team.
I wonder what further consequences that could have, because this is a really silly example. But what if you were a Tennessee Titans fan and you bought your tickets not knowing who the starting quarterback would be because the team wasn't very forthcoming about that, and you see Malik Willis and you wanted to see Ryan Tannehill? Like, obviously that's not going to lead to anything, but I wonder where that line would be, because here, like, maybe we shouldn't gloss over this part. Pretty much about 99% sure Washington and the NFL did all the things they're being accused of here. Misleading the public.
Especially if they have information that they entered into an agreement with Dan Snyder about how the investigation would be handled publicly.
Dan Snyder had the veto. That's sort of the crux of this, right? Saying, hey, Dan Snyder blamed the victims. Yup. The NFL and Washington misled the public about Snyder's involvement in all of that. Almost certainly. Fearing a loss of profits, Snyder reassured fans by publicly launching this investigation. It was all a show. I believe you. All of these things. Snyder had the keys, quote unquote. That all is 1,000% believable to me. Very much in the character of both Dan Snyder and how the NFL handles stuff like internal investigations, self-investigations. But a big brand and company lying to the public or misleading the public about its workplace culture, is that something that can have legal action, or is that only with something that does have an amount of public interest, like a football team that connects itself to a city or a state, or again in this case a district, to try to parlay that public faith into financial gain. But again, is that not implicit in most businesses that you need some sort of public trust for financial gain? I don't know.
It's above my pay grade.
Yeah, me too. I think this might be one that maybe we break glass in case of need of lawyer and see if this story goes on. We might need some higher pay grades for us, but it's very interesting to me.
One more part of this that came out yesterday, and then we'll break, was one of the details that was released earlier, at least became public, that remember the story that the Commanders were hiding and money, and they were skewing some of the numbers to keep it from the NFL and ticket sales and things like that.
Moving shared revenue to unshared revenue.
That's right. As the as an accountant would say, I can take a $3 million profit, turn it into a $3 million loss. Let me just move some things around. I got you.
Right.
So one of the allegations with that was that the Commanders had been withholding deposits from season ticket holders. Season ticket holders are now, some are being sent this letter, some that haven't even had tickets since 2008. Dear, it's blacked out. Our records indicate that the Washington Commanders team hold a balance associated with the security deposit you previously made in connection with the purchase of premium season tickets or a suite, and that you may be entitled to a refund of some or all of the remaining balance. The team previously sent you a letter to alert you to this balance, but you did not respond. Or they just lied about sending you that and you did not respond.
Yeah.
And now they're sending this letter out because they have been caught by keeping the balance, the security deposit of these season ticket holders. Now they have been caught. They are now sending them this letter to say, hey, give us a call. We owe you this money. And we let you know a long time ago.
Yeah.
You just ignored us when we told you you could be entitled to thousands of dollars and you just ignored us. That's on you. But the number was $5 million worth of security deposits that were withheld from the public. $5 million that they did not give back to the season ticket holders on a simple deposit that was going to be refunded, that apparently they are now going out of their way, just randomly sending all these season ticket holders that they apparently kept the deposit, that, oh, by the way, we told you a long time ago, we're just going back and making sure that you know about it now again.
This is a stupid word for me to use.
Interesting timing of doing that.
Yeah, this is a stupid word for me to use, but it's the first one that came to mind. That is shocking. And I say it's a stupid word to use because it's about Dan Snyder's football team, and so it shouldn't be shocking, I guess. But the fact that they continue to find new ways to potentially defraud / mislead / cover up is, frankly, it's the most successful that franchise has been at anything since Dan Snyder took over.
Yeah, Grant Paulson on Twitter, who works with 106.7 The Fan there in D.C., said the letter that he received, he goes, this particular letter, and it's blacked out, everything, is from a person that hasn't had season tickets since 2008, that they just received that letter about a security deposit that they are owed. That the Commanders are like, we're not going to give them that money. We sent them a letter. Oh, did we? Sure. Just tell them that.
You're just holding on to money from your fans, that you should not be holding.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So what we had planned for this segment, we got into Jack Bleep of what we were going to do here.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Attorney General there in D.C., quote, "We were led to believe that Mr. Snyder would not interfere with the independent investigation. He did."
Narrator, he did.
No, that was actually...
Narrator and Attorney General, he did.
"We were led to believe that the public would not be left out of the process."
Narrator, they were.
Oh, he put himself in there. We were. "We were led to believe real change would happen. We're still waiting." So there you go.
Narrator, have any thoughts on that one?
Narrator, we're still... It's a tough one to jump in to say.
Yeah, but it comes in threes, though, narrator. I mean, it's...
Repeat that last one.
Yeah,
we were led to believe real change would happen.
There wasn't any.
We're still waiting, according to the AG. So there you go. He would not interfere with the independent investigation. He did. The public would not be left out of the process. We were. Real change would take place. Still waiting. Although, they maybe, trying to sell the team.
It is so busted that Dan Snyder's punishment for this is going to be $6 billion with a B.
Yeah.
For being just the most despicable person that you've heard anyone talk about in the last 24 hours. Just amongst a lot of great candidates for that award. He is going to be sent out not with a golden parachute, with a golden private jet. So Jeff Bezos can buy them.
Also with Jonathan Abram being claimed off waivers by the Packers after being cut by the Raiders. The 3 years of Mike Mayock and Gruden drafting. 2019, Cleveland Farrell, the number 4 overall pick. He's made 26 starts, 8.5 sacks. Josh Jacobs, number 24 pick. He's been good.
That was good, right?
No fifth-year option.
Not a first-round pick. Abram cut, second-round pick. Trayvon Mullen traded for a conditional 7th.
They were doing great.
2020, 2 first-rounders, Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett, both out of the league. Third-rounders, Lynn Bowden traded for a 6th. Brian Edwards traded for a 7th. 2021, Alex Leatherwood already cut. But Max Crosby and Hunter Renfrow, does it even out, I guess?
No.
Hey, this is S.
This Sports Center is brought to you by the University of St. Mary's. Become an influential leader with a University of St. Mary MBA. Ranked as a most affordable online business school, a St. Mary MBA offers an exceptional return on investment. stmary.edu/MBA. Chiefs wide receiver Mecole Hardman will miss practice for the second consecutive day today with abdominal soreness, putting his status for Sunday's game into question. Defensive tackle Colin Saunders was excused from practice today for personal reasons. The Chiefs added that he is quote-unquote fine. Kansas basketball returns to the court for Game 2 of their 2022-23 season, facing off with North Dakota State. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:30 right here on your home of the Jayhawks. The game tips at 7. Over on ESPN Kansas City tonight, Thursday Night Football as the Falcons and Panthers face off for the second time in 11 days. Next up on the Zone, Sports or Leisure, 913-381-810 if you want to play.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on the Zone with Jason Anderson.
Nine 913-381-810 is the phone number to play a little sports or leisure. 913-381-810 to get in, first on, playing some sports or leisure. $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. Get a sports question, get a leisure question. You get them both right, you win $25 to Johnny's Tavern. Either of them wrong, you lose. But the question is out there, available for someone to call in and request if they know the answer to it or if they have Googled, whatever it might be. Don't care. We just try to give away $25 to Johnny's Tavern. They would like you to go and experience Johnny's Tavern. Enjoy it, you know? Go have some Espinachos.
Oh, I love the Espinachos.
Go have some pizza.
Love a little Nuke LaLoosh.
What about a Wilson wing?
Some Wilson wings?
Or 15 of them. I don't know, whatever you're into.
How many Wilson wings do you think you could eat? Like, if you just went there straight from here, if we just both went and we said, hey, we're going to have a wing eating competition. Yeah. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm pretty hungry. If not, you want to say we can do it at, 6 o'clock tonight. I'll be busy. This isn't I'm not trying to bully you into this.
I'm trying to figure out.
The last thing I want to do is try to force you to hang out with me. You know?
No. Well, yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's not good for you.
I'll hang out with you on my own accord. Okay?
Yeah,
I'm not really hanging out with you. I'm hanging out at Johnny's. You just happen to be there.
That's totally fine. You're hanging out with Johnny, really?
Yes. Multiple Johnnies. There's 2 Johnnies there at least.
I think it's possessive.
It's John I.
Papa John's did that. They took the apostrophe out, so it's no longer possessed by Papa John. It's just Papa John's.
It's also not possessed by Papa John either.
Right. Their branding officially reflects that. Hey, another reminder that if you want pizza, go to Johnny's Tavern. Right. Possessed by Johnny.
I want to come up with a number that I feel like is realistic, but is not like, okay, well, that's like, I can eat 5. Like, that's realistic. But also 30 is maybe 12, 13?
The number that jumped to mind for me was 15.
Yeah.
I think I could get through 15 and, drive myself home.
Yeah, I think I could too. Yeah.
I think 20 might be a fun
and 15 might be weak. Like, it might be viewed as that's weak. I don't know.
They're a good size, those Wilson wings.
Here's the thing. I've never gone to Johnny's and just eaten the Wilson wings.
You know how many Wilson wings I can eat? It's unlimited. I hate myself.
All right, sports or leisure, let's ride. 913-381-810 is the phone number. Here are the categories for you today.
I hate that I made that joke.
We've got questions about the NFL. We've got a question about college football. I didn't do much college football this week. I apologize, but I didn't do much, none. And we have Royals World Series questions left over as well. These are questions about the Royals World Series. All 4 of them they have played in, either combined numbers or specific individual series that year, or sometimes even specific games in the World Series. Those are the categories on the sports side. What about the leisure side, Josh?
We're going to close down Let's Get Greeky. If you want to answer a question about Greek mythology, this is your last chance to do it.
You're already off the Karloftis bandwagon.
Well, it's just we've been in this category for a little bit, and some of you are afraid to, really get Greeky with it. We have the pun name game, brand new, some refreshers in there. It's a good category. And then 2 new ones today. First, we have Read a Book. It's pretty simple. I give you the iconic book. You tell us the author of the book. This is a new twist on, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader or any of that. So read a book. And then the new category, a tavern of Johnnies. Possessive. This is these are going to be questions.
Come up with those 2 minutes ago.
No, this one's fully loaded, fully ready to go. Much like the Espinachos, they will be questions about some Johnnies, and I need you to figure out which Johnny we're talking about. Might be a John, could be a Jonathan, could be first name, last name. I don't know. I'm not going to give you too much of the information, but a tavern of Johnnies is the new addition today, in addition to read a book. So read a book, go to Johnny's, and you're going to win some sports for leisure.
All right. Those are the categories. 913-3810810. That's the phone number to call in. You know how to play as well.
The Raiders just put Hunter Renfrow on IR. Also, what? Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller both to injured reserve for the Raiders.
Wow. That's interesting. And if you did not hear the news earlier today, Josh Allen was not at practice today. In the media portion of the Bills' practice, it's now back-to-back days that he did not practice. I think the growing expectation is that it's going to be Case Keenum on Sunday for the Bills against the Vikings. So you got that Cousins versus Keenum matchup that everybody was pumped about when the Vikings were heading to Buffalo. Revenge game for Keenum and Diggs.
Or it's a revenge game for the Vikings against Keenum and Diggs.
Wow.
Yeah, hey, Diggs.
Bleep those guys.
We got the better receiver now in Jefferson.
Yeah,
hey, Keenum, we got a better version of you.
He's way more expensive than you, but, you know.
We're paying a lot for a better version of you.
We got him.
That's right. He's on our team. But we've got a cheaper, better version of you, Stefan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Steven compared to his Stefan.
You're
Urkel.
Real stuffy, more like stuffy Diggs. What our defense is going to do to you. This is how I imagine that Vikings do trash talk.
Is that the
not,
trash talk?
Not traditional Vikings, but like Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousin Vikings.
Not that one.
That's a totally different. That trash talk is different.
That's right. That trash talk is actually you're thrown in the trash after they.
That's true. It's
bludgeon you to death.
Different language. The whole thing.
All right, I think I'm ready to go. Josh, you good?
I think I'm ready to go. Beards, you good?
Yeah, I want some pizza, but sure.
Yeah, me too.
Ditto or triple, whatever that is. I'm not sure.
Me neither.
Let's
Double
go
ditto.
to Sean leads us off here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sean, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
What is up, man?
Hey, I want to say one thing real quick. I think that it's my fault that Juju's been going off the last 3 games because I had him on my bench, on my fantasy team, and I looked at him 3 weeks ago and I said, okay, Juju, it's time.
You talked to you know what? You had the pep talk with him.
Beards could have hit you with a nobody cares, but I think he's busy taking other calls, so I'll just go, nobody cares.
No, I disagree.
I care for you.
Do you want to? Juju should care.
Should you bench him then? Are you going to bench him then this week for the greater good? Or
No. You don't need to bench him because he gave him the pep talk. Now he's playing. Now he's going.
I see.
3 weeks ago he was on the bench and he said, Juju, we got to go.
Okay, all right. So
time.
coach of the year maybe then.
That's right. Sean coached him up.
I like that. All right, very good.
About time somebody did. Take that, Blameyer.
All right, I'll start with sports, probably just like general NFL.
All right, general NFL, not Jennifer NFL, but general NFL.
Make that category work.
Could be. Let me see one that might be a little bit easier. Not sure.
Don't insult Sean's intelligence.
There's a couple of tougher ones in here. All right, let's go with this one. Patrick Mahomes rushed for his 9th touchdown off a scramble. All right, not a designed run, a scramble. Since 2018. It's his 9th touchdown off a scramble since 2018 rushing. That's tied for the second most over that time. What quarterback has the most rushing touchdowns off a scramble, not designed runs, going back to 2018?
How did you even get these stats?
This took me 8 hours to get this one question, so I really hope that...
Sean, please get it right.
No, not at all.
Jason watched so much film.
Yes, that's what it was. I was sitting at home watching film with my children. Yes. 2018. Touchdown runs off of a scramble, more than Mahomes' 9. Not designed runs. It's not Lamar Jackson is what I'm saying.
Basically, it's not Lamar.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Lamar. So who's had the most? It's actually got 12, so 3 more than the second most of Mahomes.
You said how many more than Mahomes?
3 more. He's got, this person has 12. Mahomes is tied for second with 9. Also not tied with Lamar Jackson. Nor is Lamar Jackson leading. Throw a dart.
Yeah, I'd name a quarterback. I would say name an active.
Just fire a dart towards a wall with quarterbacks.
With a good pair of legs. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I mean, I'm looking at either maybe like Tannehill or Josh Allen, maybe Josh Allen. Just go with Josh Allen.
Hey, all right, Josh Allen's the right
There
answer.
we
Nice
go.
job. By the way,
Yeah, baby.
hey, well done, Sean, because you said a couple of names and you landed on Josh Allen. You know who's tied with Patrick Mahomes at second?
Is it Ryan Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Look at you, Sean. You really should be
Tannehill
coaching
has
these guys up.
9. Mahomes has 9. Josh Allen has 12. I don't think he will increase that number this weekend, but we'll find out. On to leisure with Josh.
We got the Greek category, we got the pun name game, we got the books, and we got a Tavern of Johnny's.
Let's do the pun name game, I guess.
All right.
Okay, let's do
You
the
ready to
pun
go,
name
Sean?
game here. This Mets pitcher earned his Dark Knight nickname while he was in the Big Apple, only to briefly pitch for the Royals in 2020. That sounds pretty two-faced to me. You got it, right, Jason? That chuckle, was you getting it?
I got it.
Can you say it one more time?
Yeah. This Mets pitcher earned his Dark Knight nickname while he was in the Big Apple, only to briefly pitch for the Royals in 2020. And that sounds pretty two-faced to me.
Do you get the first part?
Good question.
Do you have the first part, Sean, of the question?
No, I don't even have. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of who pitched for the Mets and the Royals. I don't even know that.
The Dark Knight. Dark Knight did.
The Dark Knight was his nickname pretty famously for that stretch in New York.
And in Game 5, they did go into that Dark Knight.
They certainly did.
And I certainly appreciate the decision to bring him back out for the 9th.
The Dark Ninth.
Oh, yeah, it was a Dark Ninth for them.
How about that?
Yeah. It's a dash ninth for Hosmer on the hit from Salvi.
And there's a second part to it that is...
Yeah, but if you don't have the first part, you can't get the second part.
You could, I guess you could reverse engineer from two-faced.
But you can't really. I mean, but
it would be
if you
tough.
Yeah, that'd be
tough.
reverse engineering that would be difficult. So, all right, Sean.
Good day, man. I can't think of. I'm gonna lose this.
Well, you showed out well in the NFL on the sports side.
Thank you, Sean. You know what? You got Tannehill and Josh Allen right with and you didn't even need to get them both. You got Josh Allen, and then Tannehill was tied with Mahomes. So well done. 913-381-810. Let's go to Avery next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Avery, sports or Greek mythology? Which side would you want to start with, Avery?
I want to do Greek mythology, but Matt Harvey Dent sitting right there.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's yours. Good. Good work. You gave the answer. You gave the answer. That's a dub for you. This is non-negotiable. Matt Harvey Dent, baby.
All right, that's fine. I'll do Jennifer NFL.
How about this? Next week, Brisco will keep one Greek question on that category. He'll carry one over just in case you call in and say, I want the Greek mythology question.
I won't be here for that, but someone will be. I will leave some Greek questions on there if the category doesn't get swept out today, which no one wants to do that category, so I bet it'll be here for you tomorrow.
Everything Greek with him to Florida.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
All right, sports side, we got NFL, we got college football question, and we got Royals World Series.
I'll do Jennifer NFL.
Okay. Interesting. Let's...
New category. Jennifer NFListan or something. I don't know.
That's right.
That's a pun name game for me to work on vacation.
So, Patrick Mahomes has back-to-back games with 400 yards passing. It's the first time in his career he's had... there you go,
Fact.
winner!
Yeah.
It's the first time in his career he's had back-to-back games of 400 yards passing or more. There is one quarterback in the history of the NFL to have multiple back-to-back games of 400 yards or more passing, if that makes sense. So if Mahomes throws for 200 yards this weekend and then has 2 games back-to-back of 400 yards, it would give him 2 of the consecutive 400 yards.
Is it 4 consecutive 400-yard games, or can those 2 pairs could be separated?
They're 2 pairs separate. The record is 3. 3 consecutive games of 400 yards, but there's only one person that has had back-to-back multiple times in their career at some point.
Over an entire career?
Over an entire career.
Okay.
Yes, entire
It
career.
seems like something that like a Peyton Manning would have done.
This person is not currently playing.
Dude, you are so good at getting the free hint
but
immediately.
Also,
it is an art form.
It's also not part of a Monday Night Football crew in any way, shape, or form as well. So that eliminates
Troy Aikman or a Manning.
Troy Aikman as well. But
hey, Jason, we already knew it wasn't Troy Aikman.
Yeah, I don't think he had a single 400-yard pass.
Yes.
Look into that.
You know what? Joe Buck is what we were looking for. It's actually Joe Buck is the answer.
Buck. So, wait, you're saying this guy is on Monday Night Football?
He's not. No, he's not a part of the Monday Night. I was just telling you it's not Peyton Manning or Eli.
Oh, it's not Peyton Manning. Okay. And you say he's not active?
Not playing anymore.
So like a Favre or Marino type. I'll say Favre.
It was not Brett Favre. It was not Brett Favre. But I appreciate you playing, Avery.
Appreciate Matt Harvey Dent just
Yes,
flying out of the glove like
Thank
that.
you for
that was great.
And we'll have a Greek one for you next week if you so choose.
We'll keep it here.
Thanks, brother. 913-381-0810. And he eliminated the Mannings along with Brett Favre.
And Troy Aikman, who, again, we all knew was... I'm trying to see what the most yards he ever threw for in a game was, because I bet it's going to be funny.
And Joe Buck.
Well, I'm not sure.
We will not include
Google
Joe Buck into the answer. Have you got there with how many?
No, I was trying to go game log, and it was too many. He had 455 yards in a game against the Vikings in 1998.
Well, you can just game log and then put,
Yeah, but for a whole career, it's hard. It wanted to do it by. StatMuse has one 400-yard game, 455, and then didn't crack 400 again.
And then the next one was 379.
Yeah.
So, in fact, he has only had 6 games where he threw for at least 350 yards.
And not that many more over 300. That is,
Oh, wow.
Somebody should look into this.
11 games of 300 yards passing for Troy Aikman in his career.
Patrick Mahomes might have literally done that in his first season.
11 games of 300 yards passing?
Now I'm going to see. Now I'm going to get in trouble with Troy Aikman again because I'm going to look this up and I'm not going to be able to help myself. And I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes in his first year.
Listen, Troy Aikman has a dartboard with your face on it. That he just wakes up every morning, there's a dart by his table, just picks it up, just whap.
I'm just glad he's thinking about me.
He absolutely is. If you count
really,
playoffs,
it's just the athletic logo. Because he doesn't know what you look like.
That's probably true.
Even counting playoffs, Mahomes' first year, he had 10 games of 300 yards passing.
That is so funny.
Steelers, 49ers, Broncos, Jags, Patriots.
It would be quicker for you to say which ones he didn't cross 300 yards.
I know, right?
Amazing.
Broncos, Browns, Rams, Ravens.
And he had 295. That 295 really would have helped. 5 more yards against the Raiders would have really helped out the stat.
He had 2 295s because against New England he had 295 in the AFC Championship game. If they won the coin toss, he would have had 11 games of 300 yards passing
annoying.
In his first year.
So annoying how good Patrick Mahomes is.
So, in 2019, game number 2 of 2019, he passed Troy Aikman. In the second week of his second year passing, he passed Troy Aikman for 300-yard passing games.
Unbelievable.
It's a different game. I get it. It's a different game, but it is fun with the Troy Aikman thing since he was so upset about the...
He wasn't upset. Don't tweet that he was upset about it. He totally wasn't upset about it.
Not going to. George next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. George, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Let's go Tavern of Johnny's.
Oh, I appreciate it. I think this is going to be a hit here. This was written before the segment began. Wilson Wings won't necessarily send you into a burning ring of fire at Johnny's Tavern, but this other iconic Johnny just might.
Oh, wow.
Johnny Cage.
Let's go.
If they're going to be that easy, you should come up with 30 of those. That might be the go-to.
That is definitely the introductory one.
Okay.
If you're brave enough to be the first person to open a category, you're going to get the easiest one. That's my rule. It's Still going to be a pretty friendly category, I think.
That was homeroom.
Yes, yeah, that is
you
right.
Get an A in that. It's an introduction.
This was study hall.
That's right.
Just show up.
Intro.
But hey,
intro to whatever your major is. The 101 class.
Yeah.
All right, on to the sports side. So we got NFL, we got our college football question, and we got Royals World Series. George, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking World Series.
All right, World Series, and so is Matt Quattrero, and hopefully that is the case. 2015 World Series, among the players to play in all 5 games, so to appear in all 5 games, only 2 of them hit over 300 for the series. Appearing in all 5 games to hit over 300. Who are they?
Oh, got to get them both, huh?
Well, we'll see after one.
Gosh, I'm thinking Sal.
Salvi is one, and the reason why I wanted both is because last week we had the question that Salvi was the only Royal in the 2014-15 Royals to have a 300 batting average or better in both the World Series combined. So Salvi is one. Who is the only other player in that 2014 World Series to hit over 300, or 2015 World Series, sorry, to hit over 300 in those 5 games?
Wow. And is there like a minimum number of at-bats?
He's a starter. He was a starter.
Okay.
Yep, everyday player. Starter, everyday player. One of the mainstays, not like Paulo Orlando or anything.
Paulo Orlando comes in, gets one hit, one for one. Yeah.
Not an Alex Rios or even a Kendrys Morales. I'm just some guys that is, when you think of that team and that group, he's one of the guys you think of. All right, in that group of players from that run of the 3, 4, 5 years. He's one of the players.
I'm gonna go Lorenzo.
Lorenzo is where I would have gone to, George. So we would have been wrong together.
I would have also been wrong.
Is not Lorenzo Cain. George, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it, sir. Nice job with the Johnnies and opening up that category as well with the Johnny Cash. That question is out there along with the NFL question on the 400 yards passing, the multiple times to have back-to-back 400 yards in a game.
Should we start calling the gift cards Johnny's Cash?
If we don't, what are we even doing here?
Maybe avoiding a lawsuit. That's my only hesitation.
Probably why they can't.
Probably they can't. Maybe we can.
Yeah.
No.
Cole's Cash, because it's an alliteration. You can do that because the guy's name wasn't Johnny Cole.
Yeah, right. Right. Johnny's plural or possessive cash, I think, is probably safe.
Okay. We'll take a time out. 913-381-810. Continue with Sports or Leisure, $25 to Johnny's. You can use that $25 as cash at Johnny's or Johnny's Cash, whatever you want to call it. $25 to Johnny's, playing some Sports or Leisure. We continue with more Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson
To be honest, I didn't even know who Jason Anderson was.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, don't forget KU basketball tonight, starting at 7 o'clock against North Dakota State. 5:30 pregame right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. 24-point favorites are the Jayhawks. They were 22.5-point favorites until people found out Beards was going to the game, and that moved the line 1.5. KU's favor.
Listen, they haven't lost whenever I've been there.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Moneyline KU.
All
Although,
right.
I don't know that that's the deciding factor. I don't know. I was nervous about moneylining KU against North Dakota State tonight, but now that I know Beards is there.
Beards, how do you feel about 24 points beyond your usual
Listen,
marker?
I never said anything about the money line. I just said they've never lost when I have gone.
Right, I know. So I'm saying I wonder if I could parlay that, no pun intended, into... just let me know if it feels like it's going to be a 25, 26-point game or like a 23-point game.
We'll see what I can do.
Ken Pom has it as a 22-point game. He's got it 82-60. He's got it 22 points. 2-point value right there. That's what I say. You know what I do? Try to play the middle. Get that.
Wow, all right.
They win by 23.
So, I love that. You take the points and hammer the money line because Beards is there.
Mm-hmm.
Get that little 23-point victory.
So Ken Pom has it as a 2-point or a 22-point victory. He's got the Duke game on Tuesday, which also will be without Bill Self, as a 1-point victory, 74-73. So look for that line to open up around a point and a half in KU's favor.
Interesting.
The amount of times that Ken Pom's predicted score is right around what the line ends up being. It's pretty interesting. All right, 913-3810810, playing some sports or leisure, $25 to Johnny's Tavern on the line. We have NFL questions, Royals World Series, a college football question, and what about leisure categories to reset here?
We've got Let's Get Greeky about Greek mythology, the pun name game, if you know, you know. Read a book. We give you the iconic book. You tell us the author, and then a tavern of Johnnies, famous Johnnies, Jonathan's, Johns, I don't know, Jed's, Jim's. I saw that Jimi Hendrix is apparently a very famous actual Johnny on his birth certificate.
Oh, how about that?
Didn't know that myself. Okay. Not one of the answers because that would have felt like a trick question. So no Jimi Hendrix answer in this category.
There we go.
But lots of Johnnies.
The first answer we had to that category ended up being Johnny Cash.
This says James Hendrix here. I don't know. The internet. This whole internet thing. Yeah. I'm not so sure about getting your facts right.
I thought maybe when you said John, I'm like, well, then is his
James
middle name?
Marshall Jimi Hendrix, born Johnny Allen Hendrix. So maybe he changed his name to. I don't know. Don't worry about it.
Okay. 913-3810810. Now that we got to the bottom of that, let's go to Lucas next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Lucas, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Can I take that World Series question?
Yes, you can. The question was, in the 2015 World Series, among the players to play in all 5 games, only 2 of them hit over 300. Who are they? Salvi was already guessed correctly. I had mentioned that it was an everyday player, one of the faces of that group of players. Lorenzo Cain was guessed incorrectly. What say you, Lucas?
Mr. Mike Moustakas.
It was Moustakas.
There you go.
That's right. Moustakas and Salvi, the 300 hitters in the 2015 World Series, which is what most people would immediately say. Who hit 300 for the Royals in 2015? Salvi and Moustakas.
Sure. Why not? Why wouldn't you pick Moose?
Those are the only ones that did that.
Hitting for average.
Absolutely. On to leisure with Josh.
You like a category?
Let's read a book.
Oh, let's read a book. Okay. Well, again, you're the first one to crack open the category, so I'll just ask you, who wrote The Great Gatsby?
Oh man, I don't want to go back to high school.
See, a lot of this is going to be going back to high school. Not for the content of the book, just for the name on the front of it, you know.
That's F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Bang!
We would have accepted DiCaprio as well. Either one of them, we would have accepted. That is a winner. Winner number 1.
That's a winner right there.
All right, very good. Finally
Get
got
yourself
one.
to that tavern of Johnny's.
Let's get hot. Lucas, thank you for playing. Well done. Congratulations, sir. We will put you on hold. You get to talk to Beards, which is a treat in and of itself.
Really, I mean, almost as valuable as like a big plate full of Wilson
A lot of people have
wings
paid $25 just to talk to Beards.
or pizza.
You get to talk to him for free, and you get $25
So
in
hungry.
doing that. Let's go to Daniel next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Daniel, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Could I start with the 400 passing yard question?
Yes, you can. There is one player, as we mentioned, that Patrick Mahomes has thrown for 400 yards in back-to-back games. It's the first time he's done that in his career, have a back-to-back game of 400 yards. There is one player who has had a 400-yard passing back-to-back game multiple times in his career. Who would that player be?
I noticed you guys said he wasn't on Monday night, so I'm thinking Sunday night. I'm going to say Drew Brees.
Well done.
Wow, good
well
work.
done. Drew Brees is the correct answer. Drew Brees, and if Mahomes does it again in his career, he will join the likes of Drew Brees.
Crazy.
That is it. On to Leisure with Josh.
Greek, books, puns, Johnny's. What you feeling?
I think I missed if that question was answered about Two-Face. Was that answered?
Yes, Matt Harvey Dent. Matt Harvey Dent did get scooped up.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I called in right when that guy got off. So let me go with the Johnny's Tavern.
Okay, so this Cartoon Network Johnny is known for his iconic tall yellow hair, his always-on sunglasses, and his downright muscular physique. He and I really have a lot in common, so it's cool that we have the same initials.
He said, "Man, I'm pretty, Johnny Bravo."
Let's go! Let's get it! I felt good about that one coming out of the hand. Good work.
Nice work. Daniel, well done. $25 to Johnny's Tavern. Johnny's, your way. Bravo, sir.
Bravo.
Bravo, sir.
Bravo, Jason.
No.
That's great work right there.
No, that was kind of easy.
I don't know. I didn't think of it.
Yeah, but does that really count?
That's just it's only my bar to clear, and it's a pretty low one.
Nice shot, Steph Curry. What? It was a regular 3. Yeah, but I couldn't do it.
I wouldn't have made it.
I wouldn't have made it, so nice shot.
Jason thinks he's the Steph Curry of wordplay. It
was an example of how easy it would be to just simply get one that Josh didn't think of.
Yeah,
it's not easy, though. He's very good.
I don't know.
It's always a race to the finish line.
Sometimes these take a while.
Let's go to Shane next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Shane, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Sports, please.
All right, we got NFL. We have a college football question. We've got some more Royals World Series questions as well.
Try the Royals World Series.
Okay, so the Royals have won 13 World Series games in their franchise history. 13 World Series games in franchise history. Of those 13 games, only 2 pitchers have been credited with a win, with more than one win, I should say. Only 2 pitchers have been credited with more than one win. So only 2 pitchers have got the win in a World Series game, more than one. There's a lot of one-win pitchers out there for the Royals. There are 2 of them out there that have multiple wins of the 13.
Okay. You need me to name both of them?
Let's start with one. Let's see what we got here.
Well, my initial thought, I'm hoping I get this one right. My initial thought is would be guy won. I think he won MVP.
He did.
But be Brett Saberhagen.
That is one.
Okay.
That is one. I thought that might have been the easier one, so that's why I was saying name both. But let's see what we get on the second one.
Let's see what we get on number 2 here.
Thought maybe he hung up. He did not. So Saberhagen is 1. Let's see what we get on number 2 here.
All right, so that's got to be tough. That's tough. Just more than one.
More than one. I think he ended up just having 2.
Since he got through to the second leg here, do you want to cut the eras in half and say which era the second one is from? You don't have to. I'm just
first
thinking
era, same era as Saberhagen.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking far too modern. So nobody won 2 in the modern back-to-backs.
They did not.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it really is.
Shocking.
I'm gonna throw that out there. If it's in the same era, and I almost guess somebody might be wrong, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess this other guy that popped into my head at the last minute. Danny Jackson.
The first name is right. I'll give you another.
Well, that's bleeped up because I thought maybe Danny Duffy did it twice. So you've already said that wasn't true. So.
Nope. Dan.
Dan. Oh, wow! I'm blanking out. Same it.
Don't be stuck on starters only.
Oh, I got him. Mr. Dan Quisenberry.
That's right.
That's a good one.
Saberhagen and Quisenberry. I didn't want to give a hint that one was a reliever because I figured you would immediately go to 14 or 15 as a reliever that would get a win because, the starters really didn't get wins for the Royals in 14 and 15 because they had a lot of comeback wins.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
a fun one. I like that.
Well done. On to leisure, right? With Josh.
We got the Greek category. We got the pun name game. We got the books. We got a tavern full of Johnnies.
Well, I'm going to try to make my wife proud, not jinx myself, but she's a big reader, so let's read a book.
Okay.
All right. Well, then just all you got to do to get yourself $25 at Johnny's Tavern is to tell me who wrote Pride and Prejudice.
Wow. Pride and Prejudice. For a non-reader, that's a tough one, but I should know that. You're right.
Do you need a lifeline? Do you need to text your wife or call her or
Yeah, if she texts you back in less than 24 seconds on a shot clock.
I don't know if she'd even know that, honestly.
Oh, boy. Now I'm really second-guessing this category now.
What's your wife's name?
Jenny.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's a close first name.
Boy, it sure is.
It's a close first name.
Oh.
There's a J, there's an N, there's an E.
It's a woman.
That's correct. Yes, that's right.
These are all.
It's not a Johnny.
It's not a
or
John.
Jenny.
Yeah.
Okay, now you helped me out a lot there. With the letters and the woman. Okay, I got it. Jane Austen.
There
Nice
we
job.
go.
Well done.
There we go.
Well
you
done.
worked hard on the
right.
Royals win, so I don't
right.
feel bad about a little hint on
Saberhagen
Pride
right
and
out of the
Prejudice
gates. Shane, we'll put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. 9133.
His name could have been a help, but they rhyme. You think his last name is? You think that was Shane Austin? Austin.
Shane Boston.
Ooh, I like that. Also rhymes. Different city. Bang.
Let's go to the other hint would have been like, is your wife from Texas?
Yeah, that's exactly. But spelled kind of different.
Does your wife kind of want to keep it weird? I'm not saying anything personal.
I wish you would have said that
I'm
one
just saying
before the answer
in
was
general.
out. That's good.
Maybe a citywide.
Hey, real quick from Matt Derrick. Colin Saunders made it to practice.
Oh, hey, how about that? So he was only half excused.
Yeah, so Matt Derrick says Chiefs DT Colin Saunders with a surprise return to practice on Thursday. Only McCole Hardman abdomen absent today.
Okay, so he was excused from maybe the media portion of practice for the Chiefs. But either way, Colin is back out there. All right, Andrew, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, Sports or Leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Let's go with that Johnny.
Okay. This jackass has made it into his 50s after a lifetime of dangerous stunts and generally unsafe behavior, but I don't think he'd necessarily make a bad grandpa.
Johnny Knoxville.
Nice. By the way, TV show on Hulu that's called Reboot. Really enjoyable. Enjoyable TV show.
Is there any connection there? Or you just saying it?
Johnny Knoxville's in it. Sorry.
Okay, I didn't know
sorry.
that. You pointed to the TV, so I was like, "Ooh,
No,
what's on
sorry.
TV in here?"
Sorry, I should have said that. That should have been the
Knoxville
lead.
Show Reboot. Okay.
Johnny Knoxville is in it. Reboot. The premise is they are rebooting an old 80s, 90s, your typical slapstick sitcom into maybe a more serious, same actors, more serious.
Judy
sitcom.
Greer is very funny.
She is
okay.
So it's like behind the scenes of remaking this, the reboot of this, and the struggle of wanting to make it more serious, but you got the original writers that want to go back to the same old slapstick jokes. You got the actors that have failed since that big sitcom. It's actually really well done, really well written, and funny.
Executive produced by Keegan-Michael Key.
Yep, and he's in it as well. He's one of the main characters. He plays the father in this sitcom back in the day. And yes,
Paul Reiser. This cast is interesting.
Yeah, it's a really good cast. All right, so on to the sports side, sir. We got NFL. We've got college football, Royals World Series. What are you thinking?
Got to go World Series.
All right, Royals World Series for you. Let's have fun with this one. In Royals World Series history, only one Royals pitcher has recorded a hit.
Awesome. Fantastic. Love this
Do
question.
you know who it was? I will say the second generation of World Series for the Royals, not the first iteration. So the second.
Oh, boy.
Has a hit. I was really hoping he was the only one when I noticed that he had a hit in a game. I'm like, wait a minute. Is he the only one with a hit?
Does it happen to be a famous Johnny?
No, it would be a famous Yanni if his name was Johnny.
Gotcha.
His name is pronounced Johnny in America. It would not be Johnny in his country.
God, that would have been so good. I don't have a Johnny Cueto one in my category, so that would have really been nice. We could have worked on that together.
He would have had to pitch for the answer to be Johnny Cueto.
Makes
so,
sense.
Yep.
True.
Pitcher recording a hit.
Pitcher recording a hit. Probably a reliever.
Nope.
Oh, it's not. It's a starter.
It's got to be a starter. Relievers wouldn't go back up to the plate.
They bring
just
in a pinch
bring
hitter for
somebody
them,
else.
yeah.
That's true. Product of the DH.
Again, his name would be pronounced Johnny in this country, but not his country. His name is not Johnny, but that was the hint, as in, like, he may be a foreign-born player.
Right. Oh, my
Nor
gosh.
did he have a known nickname. I don't think he had a nickname.
Wouldn't be called Johnny in his own, but he'd be called Johnny here.
Well, yeah, but don't worry about the
It's
name.
a
Johnny.
pronunciation thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's not. I'm just saying, in a sense, I'm saying he's foreign. He was a foreign-born player.
Starter, foreign-born.
So it wouldn't be like Danny Duffy or anything, you know.
Yeah, well, Giordano Ventura.
It is not. Ventura.
That's a good question, but a toughie.
Yes. Andrew, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. 913-3-810-810. Should we go to break and then finish this up? Okay. All right. Charles wrapping things up here on Sports or Leisure because Beard says one more contestant and then we'll be out of time. So, Charles, Sports or Leisure, what side do you want to start with, sir?
Let's do leisure first with the Johnny's question.
All right, born John Chapman, this orchard planter is well known almost 200 years after his death. Presumably, doctors wouldn't get anywhere near the guy.
What's that now?
Yeah.
Born John, I thought this was going to be easy. Born John Chapman, this orchard planter is still well known almost 200 years after his death. Presumably, doctors, there we go. Doctors wouldn't get anywhere near the guy because an apple a day. You guys get it.
That's what threw me off.
Sorry.
All right, on to the sports side, Charles. We got Royals World Series. We got college football. We got NFL.
Let's do that Royals question that was just.
All right, was not Giordano. I kind of feel like there was a choice of two if you're looking at starters on that 14 and 15 run. Was not Ace. What would your guess be?
Foreign-born, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wasn't Johnny Cueto, I know that.
It was not Johnny Cueto.
That answer was so bad.
Yeah, that's you actually.
Man, I'm drawing a blank right now.
What do you say? Throw a dart. Come on. Pitched a few years for the Royals.
Couple years.
Yep. I don't believe they traded for him. Did they trade for him? I don't believe they did. Also didn't draft him or sign him out of international free agency.
I have no clue. I'm sorry.
Oh boy, I think I just stumbled upon it. Yeah, this is a toughie. This is a toughie. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Vasquez or yeah, something like that.
No, yeah, that's
Boy, know you're really
close.
Really getting close to some Johnnies.
It's not a VA, it's a VO.
The VO.
Yeah, it was a free agent with the.
Let's see, was there a nickname?
The Rawls. No, I don't think.
Wasn't Essen Volquez?
Yep, there you
Nice
go.
job.
Edison Volquez, nice job.
Punched it out.
There you go. Well done, sir. Put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations. Nice job. That would be in Game 5. Volquez had one of the hits.
Ridiculous.
And I believe they might have pinch ran for him, and then the next hit was a fielder's choice in which the pinch runner was out at second, so it was kind of like a waste type deal. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. It was Edison Volquez, the only one to record a hit for the Royals in the World Series. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, we take a timeout. We come back. We wrap up this hour next. Do we not wrap up this hour
No,
next?
you still have. This is your last segment, buddy.
You're not used to this.
You're not used to this. You took a break.
Left.
You took a break way early.
That's way too early for a break.
Weird.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, that'll do it. Thank you to Johnny's Tavern, Sports or Leisure. Any questions we did not get answers to?
Not on my side.
I don't think so either, on my side.
I think we got them all.
Yeah, the Royals questions there. The NFL questions with the Drew Brees and the Josh Allen. But yeah, no other questions were asked. So there you go. All of them answered eventually.
This Greek mythology category is going to be here until it's like doubly ancient.
Until the mythology is about like 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Until Kratos gets added in. Video game joke.
What about King Neptune?
Oh, God. We got to talk to King
That's Roman.
Neptune this week, man. What an
That's a good
incredible
point.
moment. King Neptune is the phrase I was trying to say.
That'd be John O'Hurley who played King Neptune. So there you go. Don't forget KU basketball
Famous
tonight,
Johnny.
5:30.
Hey, Johnny O'Hurley!
That'll do it.
I should have used that one.